Baby, I'm gon' hit a stride. Alright. Hitting numbers like some dice. 7, 11. I hit it like I'm at you looking nice. So that pussy be on point, so I'm precise. Pretty, you help me find my way about a maze. I'll be strong, you be shining like the moon and sun rays. You make me wanna pray in church on Sundays. We count this money up and call it foreplay. We gon' take the world and make it spin. Every day we fall in love again. Oh, pretty. I could be Clyde, you could be Bonnie. You got that mom, girl, you can buy me. You drive me crazy, keep it cruising. And I hear your voice, it's like music. If I play games with you, I lose it. If I like to try that, be stupid. Baby, I'm gon' get you right. Baby, I'm gon' get you right now. Baby, I'm gon' get you right. Baby, I'm gon' get you right now. Baby, I'm gon' get you right. Baby, I'm gon' get you right now. Baby, I'm gon' get you right. Baby, I'm gon' get you right now. Baby, you the type I like. Come here, let me take a bite. I got you turning overnight. Whoa. Just because my shoulders are. I saw the future.
This week, NXT, Lucha Underground, ROH, Fantasy Wrestling, we have some of the best damn interviews for professional and independent wrestling that you've ever heard.
And I'm Joe Lincoln. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts. Keep your arms in the vehicle at all times. Wrestle Talk begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride. What is up, Wrestle Talk Podcast family? How the heck are you doing tonight on this lovely Tuesday night, ladies and gentlemen? I am ecstatic tonight. It's Tuesday night. That means one thing and one thing only. It is time once again for Wrestle Talk, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Wrestle Talk is here once again. Tuesdays are my favorite day of the week, because that means that I get to come and talk to each and every single one of you for the next 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen. And oh my goodness, do we have a show for you tonight. We got the Shoot and Shout segment. We got the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. We got the Fantasy Wrestling segment. We got everything you can imagine, and that's not enough. We are continuing our journey this week to the different promotions around the area. Tonight we've got Kekoa Mana coming on, we've got Wrestle coming on, and we got Votaw coming on. It's going to be an absolute amazing show, ladies and gentlemen. Without any further ado, because I know he's chomping at the bit to get on here, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the Night Owl.
That ain't it.
You are already going up in the wall.
That ain't it, bro.
We're not going to do this tonight. We're not going to do this tonight, Intern Timmy. Play the Night Owl's entrance music before we fire your ass. Night Owl, why do we keep Intern Timmy around?
Well, Jonesy, the idea of an intern is that the intern is free. So the fact that we don't pay intern Timmy kind of limits us from. We don't pay the guy.
I've been paying intern Timmy $200 every show. That was in his contract.
Okay, well, I think we're getting robbed then. Clearly, the Wrestle Talk podcast, not just intern Timmy, has got to work on their technology. And you know what, guys? It's a work in progress. And we're getting there, though. we continue to improve. And as you guys can see who are watching via Facebook Live, thank you for being here. Thank you guys for sharing. Y'all are my heart. I'm not in my normal setup. I am not at the Wrestle Talk Podcast studios. No, I'm actually out on the road working on some things that we've got coming up for the rest of the year. Obviously, Jonesy, things have got to open up first before we can really make any moves. But the bottom line is that before the end of this year, the Wrestle Talk Podcast got some tremendous things lined up in the technology department, as well as some other things that we have going on. Starting with this incredible upsurge that we had just last week, Jonesy. I want to give a super duper special shout out to Cody Coop, and to Todd Howerton for purchasing a couple of Wrestle Talk Podcast mugs. And you guys will probably notice that I don't have my mug today. I did not have enough room to pack it in my luggage as I headed west. So I am out drinking out of an old-fashioned can, and that means that my beer is going to not taste 17.5% better. And I'm quite ashamed. But you know what? Hopefully next week I'll be back in the studio and I'll have my Wrestle Talk Podcast mug customized by Wrath Bums Engraving. They've been doing great work for us for a long time, Jonesy. Shout out to Scott. Shout out to his lovely wife. And if you guys are looking for an incentive or a reason to purchase a mug and you hadn't had the incentive to do it before, half of our profits, that's $5, will go to your favorite wrestler, promotion, or charity. All you got to do is order the mug, customize it. That's $20 plus shipping. $5 out of our $10 profit goes to one of those three things. More information on that at WrestleTalkPodcast.com, Jonesy, or you can just shoot me or Joe a DM and we'll get you going. All that said, man, I'm ready for a hell of a show, Jonesy. We got so much to cover, but it would not be a Wrestle Talk Podcast episode if we did not do what we always do about this time, and that's where we ask everybody to respectfully remove their caps, place their hands over their hearts, as we pay homage to the greatest country on God's green earth. And that's America, damn it.
Oh, say, can you see? And the rockets red flag. Uh-oh. I'll make up for it now. For the land of the free.
Cheers, everybody.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before we get into the high spot segment, there is a little clip that I need to play, and this is Oliver Luck, who is the commissioner of the XFL, which I'm a huge Oliver Luck fan. Because why? Because he is WVU through and through, and I am a huge WVU fan. So this is what Oliver Luck had to say about the XFL. If I can, if when Timmy can find it. Intern Timmy, go ahead and play what Oliver Luck had to say about the XFL.
The NFL is an awesome league. We view ourselves really as a complement, not as competition. We're playing in the spring. It's a time when there is no football. Everybody's in this national depression or national funk, because Super Bowl and then there's no football to watch. So we aim to change that. We aim to fix that. So we're really a complement to the National Football League.
Which rule innovations are you most excited to see implemented? Because there's a lot of cool ones here.
Well, there are a couple that I really like. One is the extra point options that a coach has. So you score a touchdown, you get 6 points. We all understand that, very traditional. But then you have an option to go for 1, to go for 2, or to go for 3. They're all plays from scrimmage. Of course, 1 point from the 2-yard line, 2 points from the 5, and then 3 points from the 10. That's all about strategy. So we as fans love to second guess our coaches. We're all Monday morning quarterbacks. So I think this one is going to be a lot of fun. The other one that I really like is the fact that we've got a 25-second play clock. So contrast that with the 40-second play clock
Faster.
in the NFL. And that will mean that we'll have a fast-paced, up-tempo game, just a lot of action. It's almost as if you're watching a 3-hour, 2-minute drill because we really think our teams are going to be playing fast.
You mentioned some of the big-name coaches. Which players should fans be keeping an eye on in the XFL?
I tell you, I'm looking forward to watching a couple of guys. Cardale Jones, the quarterback for the DC Defenders. You know, if he can recapture the magic that he had during that great Ohio State run a number of years back when they won the national championship, that's pretty cool. There are a couple of receivers in Texas. One in Houston, Sammy Coates, that I really like. Unbelievable talent. And then Jazz Ferguson, who's a receiver up in Dallas.
Jonesy.
Another great talented guy. He's playing in
Jonesy, I think
both those guys
I think we can drop it right there, bro. Let's end it right there.
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and end it right there because I think people get the gist. And let me provide some backstory here. And then, Jonesy, you're going to read to us the news that just broke. Shout out to my man, Sonny Money Mayo. He gave me the kind of the tip on this about a week ago on Wednesday. And he was kind of like, I can't believe y'all didn't talk about this. I said, bro, the show was Tuesday. We couldn't talk about it. It hadn't happened yet. And at least I didn't know. So let me provide some context. That is Oliver Luck, the former commissioner of the XFL, who is also the father of the recently retired Andrew Luck. And the reason that this is relevant is that was only 2 months ago. And my, can things change in a heartbeat? Because just today, it became official that Oliver Luck is suing Vince McMahon. That's right, he is suing Vince McMahon. Jonesy, I know that we have the articles on hand. Why don't you read a couple of snippets and let's talk about it, because the word on the street was that the success or lack thereof in the XFL had absolutely nothing to do with the WWE. It was a completely separate entity. And when you hear Oliver Luck, and I don't know if we played that from right at the beginning, because that was really the most important part, where she asked him, what's the difference between XFL now and XFL back in 2001? And one of the very, very first things that he said is, this is a standalone business, okay? And it is absolutely, completely different from what was done back in 2001. So even back then, he was trying to separate himself of anything having to do with correlating the XFL and the WWE. And clearly now, based on some of the information we have coming out of the lawsuit that was filed, that indeed was not the case. Jonesy, why don't you do us and read us a couple of sentences from the announcement that was made a little bit earlier?
Yeah, so basically, he is suing Vince McMahon for wrongful termination. He says that he's owed money. He was guaranteed when he signed on to become the commissioner in May of 2018. He signed a contract for about $20 to $25 million over 5 years, and it stipulated that he would be due the remaining balance if terminated without cause. Well, obviously, it wasn't his fault that the XFL is no longer, and basically he was let go the other day, and because of that, he feels that he's owed a certain amount of money, so he is now suing Vince McMahon to get the money that he is owed. And I believe if he signs that contract, then he most certainly should be able to get that money that is owed to him, 100%. It's I don't know what to think anymore. With all of the releases that happened last week, and but the releases didn't really surprise me last week because they were all pretty much wrestlers that weren't really being used. Like, for instance, Nove Jose. When was the last time we saw Nove Jose wrestle? EC3. Sarah Logan, yeah, we saw her wrestle every once in a while, but she was more used as almost an enhancement talent. Like, you knew when Sarah Logan wrestled that she wasn't going to win that match. Like, plain and simple. And I kind of found it kind of ironic that the day after we had Madman Pondo come on, and the first thing he says is, fuck Sarah Logan, the next release from the WWE. It was like the man had he's like a psychic.
Well, and here's the thing. We've heard rumors, and if anybody caught a Monday Night Raw this week, you'll notice that they mentioned her quite a few times. So what does that mean? Does that mean that she's going to be back sometime soon? I don't know. All the nonsense aside, we would absolutely love to see Sarah Logan back in the WWE. She's very talented, and I know Madman Pondo's got his personal issues. Here's the question that I want to raise to the members of the Wrestle Talk family. And by the way, guys, if you're anxious to know a little bit more about our guests, we did put the press release up on the Facebook fan page a little bit earlier, but we have the MCW heavyweight champion coming on the show. We have one of the hosts of the Sports Animal in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we have one of the owners, actually both owners from Paradigm Pro Wrestling, that are coming on the show. So whether you're a fan, a ref, or a manager, or a talent, trust me, you're going to want to know who these three guests are. And really, it's four guests, because these are big-time players in the sports of professional wrestling at varying levels. We have a top media member in Fred. We have a champion and Mr. Mana. And, of course, we have Doug and his partner that are going to be coming on, Cam, and their promoters. So the Wrestle Talk podcast isn't just for entertainment's sake. If you're, for example, a worker and you want to kind of make your way around the country, these are some of the people that you need to know. These are some of the people that you need to become familiar with if you want to work outside of your particular region of the country. I know that as we start talking to some of the guests, they're going to talk about their story. And most talent or media members or managers, referees, or whatever, start from a humble beginning. So just because you're in a place right now where it seems like maybe making it to the professional wrestling business is like an unclimbable mountain, after you hear from some of our guests tonight and you hear their stories, I think we're all going to be able to agree that as long as you're willing to work for it, you make the right connections, and you get a little bit of a lucky break every once in a while, some amazing things can happen. You can become the owner of a successful promotion. You can become the host of a top radio show in the country. Or you can become the MCW mother-loving champion, baby. That said, we are going to bring on the champ, and I'm very, very excited about this. We've got music that's going to be playing before he joins us. And I want everybody to know, Joe, you did a great job at the beginning of the show talking about this, but because we don't have the week in, week out amount of wrestling that we would normally have because of COVID-19, we're trying to highlight professional wrestling in the United States. We're going to try to cover all 50 states over the next nth number of episodes. So no matter what state you're in, you're going to get to find out a little bit more about what's going on in your own state. And if you're not in a particular state, you're going to get to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the professional wrestling world outside of your state. So the Wrestle Talk podcast is not only educating, not only are we giving back to the talent, okay, but we're also here to educate the Wrestle Talk family. So you're welcome. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. It's all fun. All that said, intern Timmy, you know what to do, baby. It's not often that we have a champ of this stature that joins us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee, episode 294. But tonight, folks, the MCW heavyweight champion, Kekoa Mana, is going to be joining us. Hit the music.
What's up, Mr. Coquilla? How you doing, sir?
Kekoa is doing pretty well. I know my name's a little difficult to pronounce when you're reading it, but I'm doing fantastic. Thank you guys for having me on, and I very much appreciate that wonderful introduction that you guys gave me.
Oh, absolutely.
Pleasure.
Sir. You know, when I was doing my research on you, you are definitely a wrestler that understands the grind of being a professional wrestler. If I'm not mistaken, you were only off on Saturdays, and you would go to a show in, say, North Carolina, and then you would do like you do like the first and second match, and then you would drive all the way back, end up in the parking lot of where you were supposed to work, sleep for a half an hour to maybe an hour, and then work the rest of the day. How did you allow your body to do that, sir? Like, that's just crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much would contribute it to I was young, I was fresh out of high school. You know, I was a freshman in college, so I had a lot more energy than I do now. And also, you know, when you're starting your wrestling career and it's like something that you've always wanted to do, and you know, you're finally out and you're traveling and you're logging the miles and everything like that, it is definitely an adrenaline rush, and it's something that you get a high off of because, again, it's something that you've dreamt about. It's something that you've wanted and you accomplished it. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely something that helps, you know, give you that boost of energy for those long 10, 12-hour drives.
Well, absolutely. I don't know if I could do those kind of drives, but, you know, being a professional wrestler, referee, you know, that's something that you definitely have to do. You know, you've been a staple in a lot of Eastern Panhandle wrestling promotions like the WDWA, where you were the heavyweight champion, and you faced guys like Louis G. Rich, and even a good friend of mine, Shane Malice. Can you tell us about wrestling those guys like Louis G. Rich and Shane Malice?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you know, it's always a fun day at the office, you know, because I consider, you know, Louis Rich and Shane Malice, you know, very good friends of mine. Chris Wilde, I've known for a long time. I'm not as close with Chris, but, you know, again, another confidant that, you know, is in the locker room that I see all the time, and just, again, somebody that I've known. So it's always a fun day at the office. But I mean, anytime that, you know, we get to get in the ring, it's almost like, you know, it's almost like a vacation, in a sense. It's something that you look forward to. It's just trying to make it a little more understandable for folks at home that, you know, obviously aren't wrestlers. Think of it as a vacation. You know, you plan something, it's on the calendar, you're looking forward to it, and then you finally get there, and then you have the time of your life. So it's in a sense, it's kind of like that. You know, when you're in the ring with talented guys, a bad day at the office can never happen.
Exactly. The bad day at the office can never happen. And the last thing before I send it to my co-host, you accomplished a achievement that was like really, really high on your list. You finally became the MCW heavyweight champion, and I watched that match on YouTube, and my goodness, you could just see the emotion in that match when you gave Brandon Scott the super kick, and then you finished your move, and then you pinned him. That was an absolute amazing accomplishment. What was going through your mind when you won that championship?
I mean, again, for those that you know, that actually haven't seen the recent documentary that MCW did on me, they're coming out with a series right now on their Facebook page and MCW's YouTube page called MCW Spotlight, and they just released you know, my little documentary I think like a week ago, and I talk about this as far as, you know, what it meant to me, and you know, what I was thinking, you know, leading up to without going too far into the documentary and telling you my entire story, because obviously we only have so much time. But just know, like, from watching that documentary, you're going to have a lot better understanding as far as, my entire career, the things that I've gone through in order to get to that particular moment, especially recent events, in the past few years, again, that you kind of think about, because when you're not at the top of the mountain, when you're on that climb and you're grinding, you're constantly telling yourself, like, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. And I believe that a lot of people, don't become successful in whatever line of work that they're in because they're afraid of taking those risks, and they're afraid of putting in that hard work and effort and then one day it not paying off. But you have to, it's hard. It's obviously a lot easier said than done, but you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that the efforts that you are making are for some type of greater good, and they're for, ultimately your goal to pay off. And that's something that I always try to recommend to people is, you really have to believe in what you're doing. So with that moment, and, to go back and answer your question, what was going through my mind? A lot, a lot. And I would really recommend, everyone to check out that documentary. I think it was very well done. Kudos to them, for putting it together. Then MCW, I think, is one of the top premier, independent wrestling organizations in the country for a reason. There's a reason why they're affiliated with Ring of Honor, and so much talent has come through MCW and is now on a WWE product. There was a lot going on.
Yeah, speaking of MCW, Renee, my co-host, is a huge fan of MCW. He's all the way in Kansas City, and he keeps saying that when he comes up to visit, the one thing that we have to do is see a Maryland Championship wrestling show. Like, he doesn't want to go to Harper's Ferry. He doesn't want to go to any of the other sites. He just wants to go watch a Maryland Championship wrestling show. Isn't that right, Renee?
Well, yeah, absolutely, Joe. And those are some great questions, man. Appreciate you tossing it to me. But yeah, so Kekoa, like, for me, I know that MCW gets a lot of notoriety because of some of the bigger names that they bring in. But me, particularly, I'm more interested in guys like you, in guys like Dak Draper, that are really making waves as a consistent presence over at MCW. And it's great to see, Scott Hall there. It's great to see, names like that we all know and recognize from when we were growing up. But to me, the real exciting part is to see guys like you kind of start to make a name for yourself. And now that you've reached this not necessarily an epicenter, but you're at the top of the mountain at MCW, I'm curious, when you turn around and look behind you, or maybe even look beside you, who are some of the guys that you wouldn't mind giving a little bit of kudos to that have made this climb with you, that you are like, hey, you know what, I may be on top right now, but you guys absolutely have to look out for these guys. Can you name drop a little bit for us?
I mean, to me, it's the entire roster. There isn't really anybody in particular that, I think the world has to watch out for. I think it's the entire roster, because everybody brings something to the table. And, for anybody that obviously has been a long-time wrestling fan, there's a reason why you turn into WWE and you watch Roman Reigns. There's a reason why you watch John Cena and you watch Randy Orton and you watch Dolph Ziggler and you watch The Miz and you watch John Morrison and you watch Ricochet. Like, there's a reason that everybody tunes in and sees all of those particular wrestlers. They might have their absolute favorite, but they absolutely love everybody on the roster. And those are the true fans. So when you're saying, who's next to me or who's somebody that everybody should be looking out for, it's the entire roster, because, I mean, literally any day of the week, I feel somebody on that roster, we can see on TV the next day. It's something that, MCW prides on is we all take this absolutely serious. And I think our product speaks that. And I think our product, really gives out that image of, these are guys that want to make it. Because you can go to another independent wrestling organization and you can see where, these are guys that they wanted to accomplish their dream. They did, but I don't think that they have the drive or the ambition to take it to that next level. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with somebody chasing their dream, achieving it, and saying, hey, I just want to do this on the weekends. And, I want to do it in front of my friends and family. And that's really it. I don't want to sacrifice the time and the effort in order to make it to WWE or to make it to AEW, wherever that next level would be. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody has their own ambitions and everyone has their own, goals. But I feel like everybody that's a part of MCW all has the same goal, which I think is why, even though going back to what you were saying, that we do have a lot of, big stars on the show, it's the rest of the show that still keeps bringing these fans back. Because I get numerous amounts of messages from fans, letting me know, like, and obviously they're, messaging me directly, but they're letting me know, like, it was their first MCW show. They came to see Kurt Angle, or they came to see, Scott Hall or Kevin Nash or Shawn Michaels or the Four Horsemen, which was my debut show. But it was, guys like Robbie and Bobby, or it was guys like Dante, King McBride, Black Wall Street. It's guys like all of them or myself that say, wow, like, you made us want to come again. And that, I think, is phenomenal, because again, you can have that fan that just says, well, I want to see which star is going to be there next month, and that's really it. But they stay to watch the show because that's part of the package, that they're coming to see Kurt Angle or the whichever star that we're having. But again, we're hooking them because of how much passion the entire roster has.
Well, and you know what? That passion comes across just in the short few minutes that we've had with you so far. And again, guys, we are talking to the MCW. That's the Maryland Championship Wrestling heavyweight champion, Kekoa Mana. Kekoa, and we could get into like the origins of your name and all that stuff, but just in going back and watching that documentary, guys, it doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe to Maryland Championship Wrestling on YouTube. Do that. Go watch the documentaries. Learn a little bit of something about the guys that you're going to be seeing on TV very, very soon. But when I say what I said about you sounding passionate and the fire burning within you, it's real obvious. I know, and you don't have to go into it with great detail, but there have been several instances in your life where you had very legitimate reasons to back away, to step down, to go in another direction. You've had significant injuries physically. You've had a significant emotional losses. Can you touch on those briefly without giving the whole thing away, and maybe tell the listeners of the Wrestle Talk podcast tonight how it is that you use that instead of as an excuse, you have used it to fuel you to where you are today?
Yeah, of course. And there's a lot more to my story than the 20-minute video that was the documentary. And a lot of it, we couldn't fit in because, again, like we want people to watch, and, maybe then it sets up for a part two, or, you never know. But,
I'd watch part two. For the record,
for
the record, I would definitely watch part two.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Just to touch on the few things that we did cover in the documentary, it was meeting, early in my career, I met a little boy by the name of Harold Wrightington, who was a 12-year-old boy that had terminal cancer, and that was a life-changing experience for me. And it's such a life-changing experience that. And again, definitely check out the documentary. But I still remember the day that he passed away, and it's a day that I every so often reach out to his dad and check on him, or I make a post, and then his dad reaches out and says, thank you for keeping his son's memory alive. So that was something that definitely impacted me very early in my career. There was a robbery, an attempted robbery in my home while I was roommates with a bunch of my friends. And, to make a long story short, a friend of mine was actually shot and he passed away during this robbery. And luckily, I was able to make it out. And then shortly after that, I was getting on a roll again, and then I tore my ACL. And again, there's a lot of other things that happened in between those time periods, and there's a lot even in my childhood that I didn't even get to touch on because again, there's just so much time. But when you go through something that's very traumatic, again, I think that's another instance of, just like you were saying, somebody could back down and hide in a corner, or they can use it and overcome it and everything like that. And I think that once you realize, just how strong you can be, and you recover from something that's very traumatic, it kind of gives yourself a question to find the answer to, of like, okay, well, if I made it through that, what else can I make it through? What's that next thing that's going to be that is going to give me that bump in the road? And then your next question is, okay, well, if I survived and recovered and overcame this obstacle, what's not to say that I can't overcome this next one? And I think that's something that really a lot of people that suffer from these traumatic issues, or they slip into a depression, and they think that they're not able to pull themselves out. I think everybody has the power within them. It's a matter of, again, just constant work and constant effort towards that. And just when you think that, you can't go anymore, that's when you have to find that next step of stepping forward. So yeah, again, a lot of these things definitely was motivation. And, it was kind of like a refresher of why I was so blessed to find what I believe my calling is in this world.
Man, and you absolutely have. Well, listen, before I throw it back over to Joe, there's one thing. Well, actually, there's two things that the members of the Wrestle Talk family love. They love finding and hearing about new talent that they don't know about, and then going and doing their research and becoming fans. But they also love to hear about guys that they're familiar with. So one of the last things that I'm going to ask you, again, before I throw it back over to Joe, is you've not only had a great individual success, but you've also had some great shared success. And what I mean is you've shared the ring with some of the who's who of professional wrestling. Let me rattle off some names. If any one of them ring a bell and you want to share a story about this individual, we'd be more than happy to hear it. So here are some of the names that I have on my list. A few of these guys are former guests of the Wrestle Talk podcast, including Ken Dixon, Dante Caballero, Jason Kincaid, Dak Draper, the Sons of Savagery, Will Ferreira, Ricky Reyes, Kurt Hawkins, Lance Archer, Jonathan Grisham, Matt Taven, Bobby Fish, and even Adam Cole. Maybe just one story.
Hey, man.
Maybe just one story of interacting with these guys, or maybe having a match with these guys that you look upon favorably, that you can share with us.
Yeah, I would say, I'm sure most listeners would be interested in anything involved with Adam Cole.
Facts.
Adam is I consider Adam a very good friend. We don't keep in touch as often as I'd like to, and that's just because he's a very busy man, and I know what it's like to be very busy. Obviously, not as busy as him, but and just kind of get lost. And it doesn't mean that you obviously don't care about somebody, or you're not close with somebody. It's just we're all in a grind, and we're all in a schedule, and those kinds of things just happen. So I'm familiar. But yeah, Adam, again, I consider him a very good friend. We've known each other for quite a long time. The first time that I ever met Adam Cole was at a WXW show, which is the Wild Samoans promotion in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I think we were in like a 6-man or an 8-man tag team match or something like that. I'm pretty sure it was an 8-man tag match. And I gave Adam a clothesline, and I clotheslined him so well. Like, he took the clothesline so well that I was like, huh. like it just immediately, like as soon as I hit him, I was like, wow, that was really nice. And immediately after the match was over, I went up to him and I was like, yo, we need to wrestle. Like we need to get together. And like
buddy.
that's where that was pretty much it. Like I hit him once and I was like, there's something going on here, and I knew.
So you're just like the rest of us.
So we exchanged numbers.
Like,
yeah.
I love you, Adam Cole. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But again, it's not gay if you're Adam Cole, as the
right, of course not.
Has been, so yeah, we connected, and I started calling around to different promotions that that I have closer ties with, and was like, hey, you need to book this guy, like book us in a match together. So I was trying to wrestle Adam as much as I could, and I accomplished that as much as I could, and then it started getting into other promotions because people started seeing that we were having some good matches. So then we wrestled each other at ECWA a few times. But yeah, we were very close. Before he skyrocketed and he took off in Ring of Honor and was going to Japan all the time, and now he's in WWE. It was to the point where we were going on a couple dates. Like him and his girlfriend at the time, and myself and my girlfriend at the time. We went to New York and spent the day together and just hung out. Like that. We didn't live close to each other, so and especially with both of our schedules, being able to work out for that weekend, and that was great. And I think he even like barely slept that weekend too. I remember he had something going on that was like, he was really sacrificing for to make time for that. So I'm always gonna love Adam. I saw him not long ago when I went and debuted for Evolve. He was there, and seeing him for the first time in I think 6 years or something like that. Man, that was great. As soon as we saw each other, it was amazing. So
dope.
Yeah.
So dope.
I'm with the rest of the crowd. I'm an Adam Cole guy.
We're all Adam Cole marks. So shout out to Anthony Sharkbait Gutierrez, Kansas City guy, who recently got a shot over at Evolve. Same with Cameron Bernay. These are some of the local folks here in the Midwest I want to shout out who got Evolve shots, and Ref Pinky as well. So I'm going to, Joe, and I know you're not going to be mad at this because I think this is a good question. So I'm going to kind of pry into your competitive nature, Kekoa, because I hear you're very competitive. So here's the question, and it is about Adam Cole. Who's got a better super kick? You or Adam Cole? Who's got, be honest, bro. You don't have to be humble, bro.
He's got the contract, so I'm pretty sure it's him.
I love the humility, dude. That's freaking sick. All right, Joe, why don't you jump back in here with the last couple of questions, because right around the corner, guys, the animal, that's right, Albuquerque, New Mexico's very own, man. You guys hear him on the radio all the time. Fred Slow's going to be joining us. But, man, I cherish every moment with the MCW heavyweight champ. Joe, why don't you jump back in here, bro?
I do. I have one more really quick question, and we're going to go ahead and let you go. My question is, what made you want to use your Hawaiian heritage in your wrestling style? Like, what made you want to use your Hawaiian heritage?
Because it's who I am. I think that the most successful people in this world, know who they are, without a doubt. I think that there's a lot of people that, are kind of lost along the path, like trying to find themselves. And, I'm fortunate to really know about my history and, know where my family has come from and everything like that. So, before I started my career, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be Kekoa. Like I knew I wanted to go with my Hawaiian heritage, but as you know, Kekoa is a little difficult to pronounce. It's a little difficult to figure out how to say when you're just reading it off the paper, which I completely understand. I've been dealing with it my whole life. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to go that route, but I couldn't think of another name, and somebody was like, just be you. And I was like, it was more or less just like, don't go against the grain. Like this is something that was kind of, it was given to you on a silver platter nonetheless. And then when you really break it down, so Kekoa actually means the courageous warrior in Hawaiian. So it's like, why fight what you were kind of born into? And, learning more about my history and know more about the Polynesian culture. When I was getting like my tribal tattoos from my artist who's Native Samoan, and he's teaching me more about our culture and everything like that and the history. Man, it's amazing. Like the stories that he tells and the things that he says, just it kind of fuels, my passion and my love for, for what we stand for and, what our bloodline has stood for. And, the more that you hear about it, the more that it just makes me want to incorporate as much more of my history as I can. So without a doubt, I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Absolutely. I do not blame you. So did you have any other questions?
Well, yeah. Well, so two quick things because we want to respect the champ's time. Number one, when it comes to embracing your culture, if you ever get a chance to listen to the show, I know you're super busy. You know that we're very proud. Joe's a proud American. He's from West Virginia. We were talking about the Mountaineers a little bit earlier. And then every once in a while, my Mexican side comes out, and then we play this, Kekoa. So that's kind of like my version of the Samoan war chant, right? That's our version, the Mexican yell. So that's how excited I am about how awesome this interview has been. And instead of taking this last opportunity to ask another question, our next guest actually had a question for you. And here it is. This is from Fred Slow. He's with the Sports Animal in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And his question is, can Kekoa ask Kekoa if he had a dream match in mind, alive, dead, or otherwise? So, pretty common question, but I think we all love to hear the answer to these. What would your dream match be?
That's such a impossible question to answer, because it's like, what do you pick? You know what I mean? Like, do you pick Shawn Michaels in his prime? Do you face somebody that you kind of idolize as far as a career against, Ricky Steamboat? Do you face the all-time great, Ric Flair? Do you face The Rock? Do you face Stone Cold? Do you face Triple H? Do you face The Rock? Do you face Andre the Giant? Do you face who do you pick out of all of them? Like that's such an impossible answer.
All right. Well, Warrior, check this out. I got the answer for you. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. He said you could book your dream match, so why not book a 30-man battle royal with every single guy on your list? Isn't that the right answer? I'm just saying. It would be a gauntlet, and I would have to book myself to go over on everybody so that I can go through the entire line. You're gonna die, bro. That's crazy. Hey, my cardio game is gonna be strong after that one. Hell yeah. But yeah, I can't do a battle royal because I'm gonna go to hit like Randy Orton in the corner, and then Ricky Steamboat's gonna come and like dump me out in a second, and I'm not gonna have a choice because who, you know what I mean? Like what am I gonna go against Ricky Steamboat and say no? Like you can't do it. You can't be a battle royal. It's got to be a gauntlet. I dig it, man. What a wonderful response, man. Thanks for being such a great sport. We know they've got you doing all sorts of stuff with the media, and let me tell you. I follow MCW. I loved and saw the rise, that you went through in trying to acquire the position that you're currently in. And I have to say, every single person that you face along the way has been a tremendous competitor, and I'm sure they'd have nothing but good things to say about you as well. So, guys, Maryland Championship Wrestling, it's not your ordinary independent pro wrestling promotion, and that's no disrespect. I think all independent promotions aim to be what MCW is, and to be their champion, you've got to be a very, very special person. And I think Kekoa Mana has once again proved that here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast, episode 294. Brother, thank you so much for being here. Welcome as the newest member of the Wrestle Talk family, and promise us, man, when all this crazy shit is over, you'll come back and do the show again with us, man.
of course, thank you guys for having me, and please be safe during this difficult time.
You got it, brother. Grace and peace.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
Adios.
Wow. What a interview, sir. That was absolutely amazing. Like, we got to get more Maryland Championship Wrestling guys. Like, plain and simple.
Yeah, and you know what? I think we've built our reputation as a credible pod. You know what I mean? Like, I know we talked about the technical stuff earlier on, and we're pretty transparent about that. We don't have a radio station to work out of. That's what we're shooting for. That's why we seek out people like our next guest. Guys that are professionals in the business of broadcasting, are very successful, and not only are they successful, they're wrestling nerds just like us, Joe. You can't really beat that, can you? I mean, man, we all come here for the same reason, right? We love pro wrestling, dude. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That is the bottom line. And speaking of our next guest, we have our next guest on the line, sir. So allow Nightmare Jones to introduce this next guest.
Please do.
This guy, he heard every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 95.9 FM and out in the Sports Animal in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This guy is extremely knowledgeable in a wide variety of topics, and he is known as a professional storyteller. I mean, this guy, he's got over 15 years of broadcast experience today. Over 15 years, ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to bring on the one, the only, Fred.
Yeah, hit that. Let that play, baby. I like this.
Fred, how's it going, sir? How are you today?
Hey, good evening, fellas. Let me just Shazam that song. What have you brought me into? What was that? Was that mid-90s something, right? That's gotta be something from the depths of the mid-90s. Was it 16-bit? Was that a video game?
Tell them what it is, Joe. That's a great theme song. Go ahead, Joe.
That is actually a theme song of a WCW event. I think it was Clash of the Champions.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't have got there on my own, but thank you for taking me.
Well, that
would
was
have been later in the 90s. That would have been like
98.
97 or 98.
98. Dude, you nailed it.
Yeah.
It was 98. Yeah. Clash of Champions, WCW Clash of Champions 1998. Good job, Fred.
Oh, my God, look at me. I'm acting like I know. All right, it's all downhill from here, fellas. Thank you for having me on. Thanks for giving me a chance. Hey, congratulations on sneaking up on number 300 here. I know I've been following you guys for a long time. And just to watch the growth of the program, and you, Renee, and Joe, I don't know if we're using our real names or not, but just to watch you guys grow through and get to that point that you have where, you got the thousands of followers and you go to the events around the country and you host some of the maybe the newer, but also some of the most exciting names kind of in the game right now. Like, you guys are doing something really special, and I don't necessarily know if you always notice that as you're doing it, but you're definitely in a very cool energy. And then I saw here in the chat, just a little shout out to my hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, Herb Simmons in the chat. So, I mean, you're surrounded by royalty, fellas.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Herb Simmons is our boy. Let me tell you. We love us some Herb Simmons, don't we, Renee?
Oh, man, we absolutely love Herb, and really, I don't know why the feeling is mutual. I mean, Herb is Herb Simmons, and we're just a couple of schlubs that like cheap beer and talking wrestling. But it's been fun. And that's really all I can say. And, man, really, feeding off of that, thank you for the kind words. I mean, we're blessed to have what we have. I mean, we were literally just talking to the MCW heavyweight champion. So, when you're talking about independent wrestling promotions, I think everybody's striving to become what they are. I know Evolve maybe gets a little bit more notoriety because of their direct connection to the WWE, but they're really fighting. And Joe, you can verify this. You're up in the Baltimore area, right, in West Virginia, right next to Maryland, obviously. these two companies are battling it out, and a lot of people don't take notice, but to have the heavyweight champion come on our show is a treat for me, man, and it really it validates us, it vindicates us, and then to hear you say what you say, it's fantastic, bro. So more than anything else, thank you for being here, and I appreciate the kind words.
And it's something fun, too, with, like, Kekoa, for instance, you just had on, because the way he describes his character, I think it's so very important when, not just in pro wrestling, but anything you're doing in life. You don't want to necessarily reinvent yourself for any reason. What you want to do is you just want to enhance or exaggerate or produce upon yourself. So when he said that phrasing earlier, he was like, hey, I was trying to come up with a name, I was trying to come up with an identity. He's like, I'm already Kekoa. And that's the idea, isn't it, pro wrestling? It allows you to just, like, emphasize what you already have in you and then enforce that in a way that's for entertainment. And I do that all the time in radio. Some of the most valuable ever kind of like guidance I got when I first started in sports talk radio a million years ago in St. Louis, Missouri, was a very close friend of mine, Dave Raff, and we're going to talk about Dave again in a minute because we're going to talk about this Monday Night Warcast thing that I'm doing. But just a little piece of guidance he gave me was, hey, man, as you're taking this thing on, talking about sports talk radio at the time, and I'm so fortunate and blessed to not just cover pro wrestling, but cover, all the big ones, baseball, hockey, football, whatever, all of them. So he said to me, hey, man, take that enthusiasm, that energy you have, and just go over. He's like, you don't got to pretend to be someone else. He's like, people are going to tune in for you. They're not going to tune in for your guest. They're not going to tune in for the story of the day. They're going to tune in because they're into you. And that, to me, is such an important kind of idea wherever you're embracing, like, a media, and specifically one in, like, entertainment, wherever you can take what you already have and just, like, overemphasize it. So Kekoa, he super went over. That was about as good of an interview as you can hear with a guy. A bunch of guys excited and doing it early in his career. And like, what he gives us here on the radio for that killer 30 minutes that you guys just had, he has to build that everywhere else in his life. I'm sure he's got a beautiful wife. I'm sure he's got a family he's got to worry about. I'm sure he's got a day job he's got to deal with. I'm sure he's got all these things out there. And when the time comes to be Kekoa, that entertainer, that character, oh, my gosh, you can snap right into it because it's not something he produces. It's something that's already within him. So it's a really cool, like you said, outlet that you guys have that allows people to kind of emphasize themselves a little bit. So again, and for the last time, so we can move on, you guys are doing a great job. It's an absolute great medium, and I'm so pleased to be on here with you right now.
Oh, dude, that's sick as hell.
We definitely
appreciate that. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. Okay, so since you basically talk about sports, the Super Bowls, WrestleManias, the NFL, so you are the perfect person to ask about this topic, and that is the XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck suing Vince McMahon. What do you think about that whole story?
Well, and as I sit here, fellas, and maybe I'll put a picture in the chat, I'm wearing a Battlehawks hat as we talk.
Oh, my gosh. Caw. I'm sorry, I had to do it. We got too many listeners in St. Louis for me not to do the caw, bro. I had to. One last time. You feel me? One last time.
And I never was fortunate enough to see any of their many, many home games that they hosted. But I didn't go out and get the hat whenever the opportunity arose. No, I tell you what, this is a crazy scenario, right? Because the XFL, who I believe is indebted like over $1 million, like 25 different bodies or something, right? Most of them coaches, which kind of explains like why a guy like Bob Stoops would have even made the effort to go back to the XFL. Because no one's tuning in to the XFL for these names. Nobody's tuning in for Oliver Luck. Nobody's tuning in for coach of this team or coach of that team. They're tuning in because there's really nothing else going on in the spring. Because as big of a St. Louis Cardinal guy that I am, I definitely skip spring training. Don't think I don't. So whenever they hit that Chapter 11, I guess it was in last week, I mean, that's it. They call it. They say, we don't have it. And we don't have it in the way because Vince McMahon is a smart dude. And I'm sure we're going to talk here in a moment about how he was able to, with his pocketbook, get over in Florida to be able to continue doing wrestling. But Vince McMahon, through Alpha Sports, created a whole other entity and kept it separate from everything else he has going on. So all this money that like his wife has and like their political dealings, all the money that's in the business of WWE, which we all are still very familiar with, none of that is tied into XFL. It was all Vince McMahon in his own endeavor. So if he tells you, hey, I don't have at or near $25 million to pay off these people, I think Oliver Luck's deal, by the way, was like $25 mil over $5 mil. So if he's like, like, there's just no way. And I think what Luck is suing over is wrongful termination. I think he's saying, it's not my fault the league folded. By the way, Luck, you're the commissioner. It'd be hard for me to say it wasn't. But
that's true.
He goes to make that lawsuit.
That's so true.
Whenever he goes to make that, he's going to end up getting a pittance from bankruptcy court. Vince McMahon knew this before he took this thing off. That's the dude who has his bet. Somebody's going to buy this thing, though. That's the part that's neat to me. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know where the money's going to come from. But on the other end of this thing, and I'm not saying they're going to have football next year, but you're going to be in a situation where, like, hey, you can go in, all the legwork's been done. You kind of have the map drawn out for you. Here's a guy that's got a couple extra bucks. And by the way, content is at a premium right now. If you sign up for your Comcast or Charter or whoever you got, they're literally sending you a box for free to just stream stuff. So there's going to be a entity out there. I'm just going to use the idea of like a billionaire sports owner. Who's the cliche one? Cuban. Mark Cuban's the cliche one. Everyone knows the name. So he'll say, you know what? I did it with HDTV. I did it with the Dallas Mavericks. I did it with ABC, car company, shipping company, delivery company. You know, why can't I do it with my own sports league? So XFL is going to get bought up with someone. Whenever that happens, there's going to be a right of first refusal from Oliver Luck. Maybe he goes back to it. Maybe he doesn't. He's not going to see $25 million. It's not going to happen.
Whoa. You just unloaded a whole lot and you got me thinking about something. Joe, if you don't mind, I want to jump in and say this. I know there's been like an outcry from, thank you, Joe, from the minority community about the lack of opportunity to have ownership stake. You've got a couple of guys. You got Shaq that owns part of the Sacramento Kings. You've got Michael Jordan, who's the majority owner of the Charlotte Bobcats. Here's my question to you. Do you see a group like maybe led by Magic Johnson or somebody like that possibly stepping in and taking it off the hands of Vince McMahon? Because, I mean, you're the one that brought up the idea of the league selling and going to somebody else. Does that sound like a possibility, and would you like to see it?
Oh, gosh. Well, how not far-fetched is that, though? Because, like, even if you're looking like individual teams, like you were just talking about Magic Johnson, and just a moment ago we were joking about Mark Cuban.
Okay.
If you're talking about, these are billionaires that own one team. Like, it's not that like, oh God, what's a fair way to say this? It's not that one guy couldn't do it, because one guy could. But if you put a bunch of them in an association together and you're like, hey, let's do it. What's the really good, Dan Snyder, right? He owns the Redskins. That's kind of out of your world, Joe. So Dan Snyder is like, hey, what does he got? Like $2.5 billion. If he were to team up with a guy like Jeffrey Lurie, who he knows real, obviously there's a non-compete here because these are NFL guys. But I'm just giving you an example.
Right.
If you were to like grab a couple of them and say, I think we could do this thing together, then you're absolutely going to end up in a place where it's going to get done. Just the other day, I saw the New York Yankees are worth $5.5 billion. I mean, there's an amount of money in this thing that is so irrational that we cannot understand. To say that no one is going to be able to do it, that's where you're just instantly wrong. Because someone's going to be able to do it. But no, it won't be, Shad Khan. He's already in Jacksonville, and I know his kid owns a wrestling promotion.
Right.
It'd be a cool little push against the WWE. But yeah, no, absolutely.
Dude, hell yeah.
I think if you want to get out there and do a thing, get out there and do a thing, because $500 million is nothing if you have billions of dollars. And that's a crazy concept, but that's all it's going to take for this XFL thing. $500 million.
Wow, what a far-fetched, non-far-fetched idea. Really, it seems far-fetched because of where we are today, right? Joe, I know it's still your turn, but just to put things in perspective, in 6 months, all of this could be happening, like actually happening. So for those of you caught in the moment, frustrated, listen to episode 294 tonight. Just know there's hope for the future, and it's exciting to think about it. Joe, I know it was your turn. Go ahead, brother. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I absolutely. So it's just been absolutely crazy recently with everything that's been going on, and like for instance, Vince McMahon was somehow able to make the WWE essential in Florida so that they could continue to run their Monday Night Raws in Florida, and I gotta say he must have opened up his checkbook pretty big on that. So I want to know what your thoughts about the WWE being essential in Florida.
I mean, he made it essential with 18.5 million different ways. It's a crazy concept when you go from that bridge that is entertainment to politics. And if the blueprint isn't right there in the current president of the United States of America, whenever his wife Linda McMahon stepped down from the cabinet, I believe she was head of the Department of Small Business Development or Affairs. I don't remember which. Whenever she stepped down to run the super PAC, not that long ago, you knew it was going to be real interesting come 2020, and you knew you were going to have someone that was able to, in the private sector, really help the Republican Party in the political sector nationally through, number one, their dollars, number two, their notoriety, and number three, if the McMahons aren't the most cutthroat business individuals in the history of all business, they absolutely are. You're confused.
They are.
So you want them on your side. So when this time does come, and I mean, guys, we're months away. Like, we're months away from the next 4 years. And you're gonna have a platform, the only platform that ran all summer long, which is gonna be in support of your party, which is gonna be in support of what's going on in the world. It's a no-brainer for the Republican governor of Florida to give you the go-ahead to do this thing, because literally no one else is doing a thing. I'm doing radio 5 nights a week right now because there's so many people that just want to absorb. And you have to be able to provide that.
You have to.
And right now,
it's like liquor stores. It's the liquor store argument, right, Fred? It's the liquor store argument, right?
Absolutely.
Same deal.
No, and that's an excellent point, Renee, because it's like, hey, it's always been there. I know it's there, but now I got to go to it all the time. I got nothing else I can do. And that's the brilliance of this move from Vince McMahon, where, and you guys know this, if you're into any sort of politics, it's a big part of my radio show. As go Ohio, as goes Florida. What those two states do is what happens in the country. So if if the state of Florida can put the WWE or Linda McMahon or however you guys want to define it in their pocket in a way to use their platform as a sounding board or a megaphone for what they're doing, it's a no-brainer from the Republican-run state of Florida.
Wow.
I could not agree more. Great insight. But I don't want to take up all of the time. I know that Renee's chomping at the bit, so still, whatever, why don't you ask whatever questions that you have, sir?
Thanks a lot, Joe, and I apologize for jumping in there a couple of times. Well, Fred, here's the deal, and I hate to go backwards, but I think it's only fair since this is your very first time on the show. Talk to us about how you take this incredible knowledge, the voice that you have, and the energy that you have, and how you've constructed it into a career in broadcasting, which a lot of people that do Facebook live streams and podcasts are kind of aspiring to be. I know people think that radio, just like newspaper, is a dying entity, but that couldn't be further from the truth. More people are listening to radio, but radio.com, iHeartRadio. I mean, a lot of people have these apps on their phone. You're obviously successful within that business. How did that come about, and how have you been able to incorporate pro wrestling into it?
Well, and I tell you what, you have a really smart audience, so I'm going to talk at a little bit of a higher level right now when it comes to entertainment.
Go for it.
It's a 360 approach all the time, Renee. It's this idea that, cool, I have the terrestrial signal. I love the CBS affiliate. We're a dual band here in Albuquerque. There's at or near almost a million people here in Albuquerque, almost. So we have the AM, we have the FM. That's really great. Well, here's the thing, too. I do a lot with the local TV. So I'm reaching out to the NBC affiliate all the time because I have a really strong relationship with them. So if we have something that needs a little extra emphasis, we have the TV outlet. Well, here's the thing. You know how people are consuming my radio show, and they're consuming that TV show, and they're consuming this live stream that I do multiple nights a week. By the way, I want to make sure we talk about Monday Night Warcast. I want to do that before we leave. And then also all these little guest spots we're doing right now, Wrestle Talk Podcast with Joe and Renee. They're doing it on that little device in the pocket, aren't they? They're doing it on that phone. And the idea is you have to be able to approach everything with the idea that nothing has more value than anything else. Everything deserves the effort that you feel like you should put into it. Don't short anything you're doing, because then you're only shorting your consumer. Because for me to identify how anyone wants to consume a program is foolish. I'm going to use, like, from the chat. I'm looking in your chat right now. Like Assad or Marcus or Cody or Herb or Susie or Todd. Like, these guys take the time out of their day. They seek your media because it's such a fine and viable product. And they would seek it if you guys were on TV. And they would seek it if you guys were on AM or FM radio. And they would seek it if you were on Sirius satellite radio. And they would, anywhere you were, they would go to find you because of what you're putting out. And the idea is you just have to give the glory that's deserved to what you're doing. And that's the benefit I have of the AM radio, FM radio show. It gives me this another outlet to why I'm doing something every day to reach and connect with people through the medium that they find most desirable. So no, nothing holds more value than anything else. And this idea that, and I can give you my podcast numbers, I can give you my iTunes numbers and my Stitcher numbers and my SoundCloud numbers and my Spotify numbers, but no one cares about that.
Right.
They only care about the one way they do it. And that's the thing that's so impressive to me on this thing. And by the way, and I'm going to extend an invitation to you guys here right now. I love to have you on this new endeavor we're taking on. We're doing this thing called Monday Night Warcast. It's MondayNightWarcast.com. And what it is, it's a redirect to my Facebook page for the radio show. And every Thursday, we're watching concurrently Monday Night Raw versus Monday Nitro starting from September 11th, 1995 until the end of it in 2001. I'm having guests of the community and the wrestling world on to share their insights, to talk shop. We're just laughing, we're riffing, we're throwing jokes. I open up a Speedweiser or two during the thing. I have a really nice setup as far as the home studio goes, so we're able to bring anyone in crystal clear HD, and we have a lot of fun with it. So obviously we'll talk off the air about this thing, but I want to make sure we give you guys an opportunity to come on because it's going to be about the most fun you can have. Our debut episode came out last week, went over like a banger, thousands of people, the chat went crazy. So if you guys are interested, I'd love to have you on for that. Because right now, shoot, if I don't need pro wrestling more than ever.
Amen,
That
dude.
sounds absolutely amazing.
Amen. That does sound crazy. Yeah, well, we accept your invitation, man. Absolutely and without question. You know, for us, I know when Joe started the podcast, he actually started with the show before me. And you're talking about different platforms, right? To me, radio's particularly, like AM, FM is particularly cool because when I moved to Kansas City, I literally had zero friends here. I'm a South Florida kid. I grew up in Boca Raton, around West Palm Beach and Delray, Deerfield, that whole area. And when I got here, man, all I had was sports radio. And I remember calling in because I do a pretty decent Tony Montana impersonation. So I would call in and talk about Kansas City Chiefs football sounding like Tony Montana. And I always thought to myself, I said, TV's cool, radio's cool, internet's cool. I should say TV's cool, all those things are cool. I said, but radio was how my parents listened to soap operas in Mexico back in the 70s, before they had TV. There were soap operas that would come on the radio, and it would come on once a week. It would last 1 hour, and everybody would like literally be around the radio like people gather around the TV at Super Bowls. Like, it's incredible to me. So that aspect of it particularly fascinates me, and it brought me to try to do something a little bit different. So what we do here on the Wrestle Talk podcast is we've actually incorporated a fantasy wrestling segment. I'm sure, being a wrestling fan your whole life, you've probably heard of E-Feds before, right, Fred?
Oh my gosh, worst timing ever. You actually broke out whenever you asked me that question. Can you ask me again?
No, I was curious. You're talking about platforms, right? And whether it's radio, whether, you know, so one of the things that we've done here on the Wrestle Talk podcast is we've kind of created a unique one for us here on the show, and we incorporate fantasy wrestling into our pro wrestling podcast, which will follow you. But that's why I feel so encouraged when in the past I was told, hey, you probably should cut that out of your show because it's turning a lot of people off. Well, there's a lot of people who love it and that are committed to the show simply because we do our fantasy wrestling thing. So that, again, to me sounds like validation, because you just said it. You're like, yeah, I'm a radio guy, but I also do TV. I do a podcast. You know, so being versatile is so absolutely important. And being a chameleon, right? Like in the industry of entertainment is key to your success.
Yeah, when Joe put it over for me whenever I came in with the intro, I've only ever identified myself as a storyteller. I've only ever been in a place where I'm like, hey, I'm going to give you like a message, but the medium in which I give it to you, that's not as important to me. And what I'm going to do, Joe, because I don't think you know, I'm going to take you back real quick from when me and Renee met. And I don't believe Renee even remembers. But this would have been years ago, and I was trying to book
Dynamo.
Ricky Cruz.
Yeah, bro, come on now.
All right, so Ricky Cruz, and he was in a program with Dirty Jake Durden, I think. And if that's not correct, I apologize to everyone involved.
No, it was, dude, because wait, Fred. So he was, and that culminated in a match between those two guys where Durden put Ricky through the wall or Ricky put Durden through the wall. And Joe actually flew down from West Virginia and was at that show. And we were taking shorty shots, dude. It was the shit. It was absolutely the shit.
That's absolutely. Oh, you just gave me goosebumps bringing that back to me, Renee. And what was so exciting about that is, so we get Ricky Cruz on the program, right? And the King of Chaos is on, and he's telling these stories about performing in front of 20 people in an island in the Caribbean I've never heard of. He's telling these stories about performing in front of 20,000 people in some of the biggest cities in the country, right? And as he's telling these stories and he's going over, you like, for a moment, you just like remove. And by the way, I've interviewed like some of the biggest and best names in this game, right? But this Ricky Cruz story is important because this is the one where I had that aha moment. Whereas I'm interviewing Ricky Cruz, I step away, like, literally mid-interview. Like, it's not that I actually push myself away from the desk, but it's an out-of-body thing. And I think this dude has done some of the coolest things you can do in the profession that he has chosen to be passionate about, which, by the way, pro wrestling is fucking fortunate to have Ricky Cruz.
Agreed.
So whenever he's done that, and he's like, you know who I'm going to allow in? I'm going to allow Fred. I'm going to let Fred tell part of my story. I'm going to let Renee in. You know, Joe, I didn't know you were there. He said, I'm going to let Joe in. He's going to let all these people in who only had a fandom of this thing to be a part of his journey, to be a part of his. And that's, to me, Renee.
Sick.
And Joe, I started that story by telling it so that you would know Renee and I's relationship at Dynamo Pro Wrestling. That's the idea where, like, you get all these individuals that are so passionate about it. And that's the energy that's involved. No one that is involved in the world of pro wrestling or sports entertainment or whatever verbiage you want to use, no one that's there is because they have to be. Everyone is there because they want to be.
Amen,
and they
brother.
love it, and they're committed to it.
Amen.
And the fans that turn out. So anyway, it's the most beautiful entertainment in the world. A really good swerve in pro wrestling is better than any Boardwalk Empire or Game of Thrones or I don't know what you guys watch. I don't watch anything. Yeah, but like it's captivating. It's 360. It's Shakespearean. It's beautiful. I'm 35 years old. I've been watching it for 31 years. Like it's the most incredible little journey to me. Anyone I've ever married or dated or spent any time with, they've fallen in love with it. Like it's the most enticing, drawing, beautiful thing that allows us to take what I call storytelling and incorporate it into a world of excitement. And we're doing that. And like I said, we're going to get you guys on there, but we're doing that every Thursday night now on Monday Night Warcast. So make sure you guys check that out because we're literally watching the thing we love, telling the jokes we want people to hear. It's the coolest medium. Thank you to Luke Roberts for having me on. I guess are we still using fake names? I don't know. Are we using fake names?
Bro, whatever. Like, no, seriously, we've never. We're just too lazy to like figure out what our true platform is or our true like blueprint is, I should say. So like, whatever, whatever you feel comfortable. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm Night Owl. Also, Renee. You know, he's Joe. He's also. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And you know what, Fred, Joe, I know you wanted to jump in and say something real quick. I hope that if this interview doesn't show anything else, that it shows that you can stay true to yourself, okay, just like we talked about with Kekoa, and still get over. Like, Fred, you clearly have the same passion for the sport and for entertainment and for people that you had 31 years ago, right? Which, by the way, I was born in June. What month were you born in?
Well, I'm later than that. I'm a December guy, so I was kissing with 85, but I decided to hang out in 84.
Very nice. It's all good, brother. It's a good year, I'll tell you that much. Well, Jonesy, I know I said I'd have you come back in here with your final thoughts, man. I'm just so overwhelmingly excited to have had such great guests just to kick off tonight's show. And I'm humbled because these guys clearly have that same passion and fire for the sport the same way we do. And before you go, Fred, we got to make sure you drop the info just one more time on the show that debuted last week, and on maybe when you might have your boys on, because I'm pretty excited about it, Joe.
Yeah, no, we're going to have a lot of fun doing it, and it's MondayNightWarcast.com. It's right now it just redirects you to the fan page for my radio show, which is ABQ Central. Big shout out to that program. Actually, my co-host Van is knowledgeable and as fun as anyone you've ever met. He has life experience. We do something several nights a week right now while the sports in the whole world is shut down. We're doing tournaments every week, so we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. This week we're doing greatest one-hit wonders of all time. So if you guys have interest outside of wrestling, there's a lot there too. I think we did sports movies last week or whatever. But Thursday nights, we're doing it 6 Mountains, that's 7 Central, 8 Eastern. We're having on local guests. This upcoming 2 days from now, we're going to have Luke Roberts on, actually, from Dynamo Pro. We're going to have him on. We're going to have their champion on. We're going to talk shop for a little bit. So, anyways, MondayNightWarcast.com. That'll redirect you to the Facebook page. Like that. Turn those notes on. You guys know how important it is to have those notifications on in the digital world. When we go live, we're not waiting for you. We are live.
Hit the bell, baby.
Start. We're telling jokes. Yeah. I'm taking you back to 1998 like you guys did with me with that Constant Champions intro. This is must-see TV here, guys. So don't miss it. And then I'm real transparent on social media and a little behind. I mean, Fred Slow in radio and the internet, that's a character. Fred's a character. So if you want to add me on social media and do that kind of stuff, feel free. I'll make sure you get to what we're doing. But it's wrestling and it's a lot of fun. Real quick before I do let you guys go, or if you had any final ones, right now, and it's kind of a sad state of pro wrestling here in Albuquerque. We had a promotion here for a long time, Dynasty Wrestling. They're no longer with us. They've closed the doors and aren't doing a thing. So don't be surprised if you don't hear a little bit of rumblings of your boy starting something up down here, because it is just too far for me to go to El Paso, and it's too far for me to go to Amarillo. It is too far for me to go to Phoenix.
If you need a commentator,
pro wrestling,
ring announcer, hype man, referee, holla at your boys. And as a matter of fact, if we can't do it, between Joe and I, we know a ton of talent that would be more than happy to drive to the beautiful city of Albuquerque to work for you, bro. You sound like you love this sport, man. That's fantastic.
Oh, I do. We just booked a AEW TV, so that was we had it scheduled for during the Corona, got rescheduled to December, but we're back in the mix. I think Albuquerque hadn't hosted a SmackDown since like 2009. So
that's criminal, damn it!
And that's just
it's criminal.
Too damn long. House shows will come through regularly. If those ever restart, I'm sure we'll get those from the WWE. But no, it's a really good hotbed here. Obviously, the Lucha Libre stuff. Lucha Libre USA had a strong presence here for a long time. I know you guys talked about it last week whenever you had the Madman on. But you know, everyone likes a certain type of wrestling. I've never been the biggest fan of the Lucha Libre style. Same way I'm not the biggest fan of the deathmatch stuff. You know, I'm more of a Herb Simmons guy. You give me like traditional, old school, really good storytelling. All of the best kind of memories that I have of pro wrestling aren't wrestling themselves. You know, it's promotion and it's excitement and it's stuff in, you know, barber shops. You know, so that's kind of what I grew up with. But yeah, hopefully it returns here to the Southwest where I'm at. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be watching every Thursday night, 2 episodes, one Raw, one Monday Nitro, for me telling jokes and having a lot of fun. And I'm excited to have you guys on.
Joe?
Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on to the podcast. You are more than welcome to come on anytime, sir. Once everything starts to get back to normal, we would love to have you on for a even longer interview. So just promise us that you will come back on in the near future.
Congratulations on kissing 300, guys. You're doing a tremendous job. I'm a big fan of yours. I'm a big fan of what you do.
You got it. And you know what? Before you go, and Joe, I know I forget all the time, so don't think I'm picking on you. We always like to welcome in a first-time guest as the newest member of the Wrestle Talk podcast family. And I know that we didn't hit it hard enough in the beginning, but for those of you guys watching on Facebook Live, and we love you replay listeners as well, that's actually the bulk of our listenership. But as you guys can see, if you're watching on Facebook Live, that's MondayNightWarcast.com. And it'll redirect you to their Facebook page. Your boys will be on it very, very soon. They're recapping old school episodes of Monday Night Raw, doing commentary. It's going to be an absolute blast. Also, make sure you guys follow Fred Slow on Facebook. Fred, we love you so much, bro. Please come back very, very soon. Again, welcome as the newest member of the fam, and keep kicking ass, man. I can't wait till the Roni is over. And if you're going to start that promotion, you better let your boys help out, man, because we want to support you.
Oh, for certain. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Joe. And then behind the scenes, thank you to Luke. This was as transparent and easy of an interview as I've ever done.
Hey, big shout out to Luke Skywalker. Somebody better put this man in some sort of Hall of Fame soon. The dude's been doing it for 30 years. You talk about somebody in the Midwest who hasn't gotten their due. My man Luke Roberts, an integral part of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Have a good night, brother.
right. Woo!
Jonesy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
What a show so far, bro. But you know what? I know we got FWWC, brother, but we got to hit the break song that we promised. Because you know what, Jonesy? I have rarely been this excited to take a break. I mean, I do have to pee really bad, just to be honest. But this song is a very, very, very close personal. Actually, he's a cousin of mine, just to be honest. Okay? And he's also a member of La Familia. And he's also a member of the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, right, Joe? You've got a chance to listen to a sneak peek of this song. I know you love it, bro. Why don't you go ahead and do the introduction to this very, very special break song that we're playing here for episode 294 of the Wrestle Talk podcast.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, it is all honor to introduce to you breaking news, Insanity's newest song named Guts.
Guts.
We'll be back in 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
You better turn that joint up, baby.
Muted.
All the way up.
Yeah. All right. Hey, baby. Baby, I'm gonna hit a stride. Alright. Hitting numbers like some dice. I hit it like I'm actually looking nice. That puts me beyond point, so I'm precise. You help me find my way up out of May. You be shining like the moon and sun rays. You make me wanna pray in church on Sunday. We count this money up and call it foreplay. We gon' take the world and make it spin. Every day we fall in love again. I could be God, you could be Bonnie. You got that bomb, girl, you can buy me. You drive me crazy, keep it cruising. When I hear your voice, it's like music. If I play games with you, I do it. If I like you, that'd be stupid. Yeah. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, you the type I like. Come here, let me take a bite. I got you turning overnight. Whoa. It's hard to trust because my shoulders high. I saw the future, you was in my side. I'm a monster, girl, you brought me to life. Sugar, how'd you get so fly? All these other chicks, they give me no high. Sugar, I used to be a dog, now you got me on a chain. I would run away.
Yo, what up? Night Owl.
Unmuted.
Nightmare Jones. What up, Wrestle Talk fam? Do it for y'all. Check me out. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. Even them haters can't hate us no more. To unlock your door, cause we got some more. Every Wednesday we here, keeping it raw. Night Owl, Nightmare Jones, and all the best guests. Like a double barrel pointed right at your chest. Wrestle Talk Podcast.com. Smashing and killing it like a night at a prom.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Nightmare Jones back, and we are here for the FWWC segment. And just like last night, La Familia is taking over the Wrestle Talk podcast. Ain't that right, Renee?
Well, first of all, sir, please address me as the Night Owl, okay? Number two,
Night Owl, I'm sorry.
come on now.
Yeah,
do your
Night
job. Listen, if you're going to do your job, do it correctly. Nightmare Jones, I'm going to go ahead and excuse you for continuing to show up here uninvited every single week during the FWWC segment, because you know what? You are due to eat a little bit of crow. Now, I got to give you credit. you did recently beat both members of the SOF, the hybrid champion, the Warriors Heart champion, but that was a couple of weeks ago, Nightmare Jones. I'm very, very interested, and we're going to get all the other callers on, so hang tight. Intern Timmy, also check the phone lines. I want to make sure that we have everything prepared for our final guest, Paradigm, baby. Oh, I'm not even going to tell you guys yet. Wait till I do the introduction. It's going to be a good one. But for now, Nightmare Jones, I need to know, how does it feel to lose to a rookie in their debut match? Please explain.
Well, okay, for one thing, so that rookie is a very, very, very beautiful woman, and I got to say, when she gave me that Bronco Buster, I was captivated. So I was in shock. I was when she gave me that Bronco Buster, like I just, there was nothing else that I could do. So it was the Bronco Buster.
Really? Really? So here's what, Nightmare Jones, there's only one way that I can describe that response.
Stupid. 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 That sounds stupid. Stupid. You were a little bit jealous that I was the one getting the Bronco Buster and not you, sir.
You're so disrespectful. Nightmare Jones.
Bronco Buster from a woman.
Is that where your mind goes? Jeez Louise, please go away. Is that where your mind goes when you're fighting a talented, intelligent, creative, resourceful, beautiful competitor in the FWWC? Is that where you're going to go with it, Nightmare Jones? I mean, seriously, you know what? Why don't you just go ahead and sit over there for a minute so I can get a couple of more callers on, okay? And please, and your way out, please tell Enter Timmy to check the phone lines so we can make sure to get everybody in the queue. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, is another up-and-coming, kind of fresh and brand new superstar to the FWWC. And I have to say, from what I've seen so far as a member of the board of directors, the one reputable member of the board of directors, along with my partner, DeJuan Mills, not much to be said about that gentleman, El Mata, at least not positive. I've seen competitive nature, hard work, a lot of confidence, and a lot of will to win. But at the same time, okay, on the other side of that coin, I've seen arrogance, I've seen cockiness, I've seen a guy who's braggadocious, and I've seen a guy who's never had a slice of humble pie in his whole life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on to the Wrestle Talk Podcast FWWC segment. For the very first time, the one and only Mr. Swag. Mr. Swag, you're live on the FWWC segment. What's on your mind tonight?
What is going on, Night Owl?
Well, Swag,
first off,
happy to have you, man.
Right.
Happy to have you in the group. Happy to have you on the show. What's on your mind tonight?
First thing I want to say, Nightmare Jones, all I heard was, what happened was, come on, man. That girl rolled you. He rolled you. Anyways, hey, I just got to talk a little bit about this. First off, I got a little bit of humble pie, man. I know my WC. I'm the new guy coming in. I know where I belong. I'm not here trying to take on the big dogs like Marcus Mayhem and talking trash on them. I'm concentrating on the other.
Whoa! Swag! Cut it out. Now you're pandering to the lieutenant of La Familia, Marcus Mayhem. You need to stop that. Your very first promo. Okay, you were in the crowd at the very first show, and you were saying that half of the superstars were putting you to sleep. So, are you a wrestler or are you a politician, sir? Because you're talking out both of the sides out of your mouth right now.
Well, it is election year, so nah, for real though, my concern is what's coming up tomorrow night. I got these other two free agents I got to go up against. I see G.I. Shy up here giving me a little bit of a mention, giving Professor Cripple a little bit of a mention.
It's Cripple, sir, please, sir, Mr. Swag, please refrain from calling him Cripple, okay? That's inappropriate and politically incorrect. His name is Professor Cripple, Come on now, Mr. Swag.
Oh, well, hey, my phone gave me typos. That is, you know what? Humble pie there. I feel bad for that one there. I said it wrong. But anyway, hey, I'll give a shout out to the new up and coming FWWC free agents. Hopefully, we put on a good show for the rest of y'all tomorrow night. Other than that, man, thank you for bringing in Renee. Thanks to you, me personally, I found a new passion for this sport. I used to be a kid. I couldn't wait Saturday night's main event when I was a kid. Saturday and Sundays, WCW, blah, blah, blah. Man, getting in, calling for some of the local wrestling around Kansas City, and then hooking up with you, and it's ignited a passion in me again, man, that I appreciate that. Appreciate it a lot.
Well, no problem.
Now,
and you know what?
I'm coming to whip some ass.
No doubt, Todd. And listen, I know that, we go in character, we're out of character a little bit here during the FWC segment. And I want to thank you. When I was working on my Royal Alliance show, you're one of the guys that showed up, did a killer job. You're pretty much flawless from my perspective. I know there's things that you felt you could have done better, but I thought you were fantastic as you DJ'd our very first show for Royal Alliance Wrestling. So thank you for that. And thank you for being a part of the group. I think this is a very healthy thing for people who have maybe lost touch with professional wrestling or have felt like wrestling has become stagnant. It's like when we went from having just football to when we went to having football and fantasy football. It adds a whole nother layer to it, and you're more invested because it's actually like a competition for you. So let me ask you this final question. Actually, it's two final questions before we move on to the next caller. And by the way, I hear we have Doug on the line. He's in the waiting room right now, relaxing. He's eating a little bit of hors d'oeuvres and having a cold beverage. So we'll have him on in just a matter of minutes. But I wanted to say this to you. This group does a fantastic job of bringing out people's personalities. I know that you went through a hell of a battle recently with cancer. You've overcome it. You're living life to the fullest. So I love the fact that this is a platform for you to be able to express yourself. And that's to Todd. And then to DJ Swag, I wanted to say, you have a huge opportunity tomorrow night on a very special Wednesday night challenge in the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC. What thoughts does DJ Swag have for his opponents tomorrow night? Go ahead and address both of those, man.
What was the first one again? Sorry, you cut a little bit there on the first.
Oh yeah, did I cut out a little bit, man? I apologize. Well, I don't want to try
I think it's my end.
No, it's okay. Really, for Todd, I know you've overcome a lot recently, health-wise, right? And the FWWC gives you that opportunity. I know I thanked you also for DJing the show. And I can't even recall 100% what my question was. Joe, can you help me out here, man? I'm sorry, I just brain fart. Okay, no, Joe's screening callers. Oh, so I guess my first question will go unanswered. I apologize, bro. And, well, while you're answering, while you're responding to the second one, I'll see if I can't remember exactly how I asked my question. Go ahead, bro.
Look, first thing, I mean, these other free agents I got to do battle with, all I got to say is they don't know what's in store for them. All right? Went up against Battle Cat last Friday night to a draw. That's a tough competition right there. That's all I got to say. I got a little bit of experience. GI, she got some experience last night against somebody who come out, what if, what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sweating her.
Okay.
Propel, whatever. I don't know about him, so I'm not going to underestimate him either, because I don't know what he can do. But I can tell you right now, Mr. Swag ain't scared. All I'm going to come up there and do, show up, do my work, put my street clothes back on, head on out with the victory. That's all I got to say.
Wow, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Swag. Dude, thank you so much. And I apologize. I know that there was a two-parter there. I had a brain fart. And I know you did as well. So it's all good, bro. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again very, very soon down the road. I know that I do want to mention this. Thank you for purchasing a Wrestle Talk podcast mug. Thank you for taking that donation the 50% donation and giving it back to us to help support the group and to help it grow and stuff like that. So Todd, big shout out to you for that. Moving on to the next caller here, we're going to go ahead and bring in the GM of the Inferno brand. And from what I hear, she's got some pretty interesting thoughts to share with us here tonight based on what's been happening and tomorrow night's incredible showdown, which will have Inferno, Infinite, and Rise all having a free agent representing them in this incredibly unique and honestly exciting matchup of free agents. Hardcore Sis, tell us how this all came together and what news do you have to share here with the members of the Wrestle Talk podcast in the FWWC segment?
Well, first of all, good night. Good evening there, Night Owl. And I just happened one day to think, we have a pick'em coming up soon. This is the last week for points before the pick'em, and I thought, what do we really know about our free agents? So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I want to do a battle royal with all our free agents. And of course, that's when I hit you up and asked you, what you thought of the idea, and you approved it. So I challenged my free agents. Let's do this, guys. And each of the teams, each of the brands is going to sponsor one of the free agents. I myself am sponsoring Mr. Swag there that you were just talking to. G.I. Shy is going to be sponsored by the Infinite brand. And Professor Crapel is being sponsored by the Rise brand. So it's a really unique match. It gives the free agents a chance to show us GMs what they can do. And in Crapel's case, to show us that there's no ring rust on him and that he's back to be the man that he needs to be. So it gives us a chance to look at all these guys and say, and lady, and say, that's who I want on my brand. So it's a really great chance for them, and I'm really glad that it was my brainchild, and I was able to, pitch it to you and all the other GMs.
Well, sis,
and then come together. So
let me ask you a question before you move on to anything else. So, what makes you so willing to trust and work with the other general managers? We all know this is a cutthroat game here in the FWC brand battle. What gives you the confidence that somehow the other general managers, whether it be together or individually, are going to try to take advantage of this situation to try to get a leg up on your brand, Inferno?
Well, I have to be honest. There's a very good possibility that one of them could do that, and that's fine. But don't count out Hardcore Sis just yet. Don't think that I may not have a little something up my own sleeve. And let's also figure out that, we're going into a pick'em, so it's. Anybody could wind up with the first pick, and they could choose any one of these folks. So, hey, if you really want to get down and dirty, who better than me? I can get down and dirty with anybody. I don't really mind getting down and dirty. I am the hardcore champion. At least until Money in the Bank. And then, I still intend to be the hardcore champion, but that's another thing altogether. But I'm not really worried about the other two GMs. They can try whatever they need to and do whatever they want to pull out the stunt. But it was my brainchild, and I'm taking the chance. So let them do what they have to.
That's fair. And again, before you move on, I know you've drawn a lot of criticism because neither of the two general managers walked into year 3 of the brand battle currently holding any championships. A lot of people say, and I don't know exactly what your thought process was because it was left up to you, you decided to go ahead and hold on to the hardcore championship. Have you ever explained as to why that is and why you didn't vacate the belt? Was there a reason? And if either way, what do you think your chances are of retaining the championship at Money in the Bank?
at one point we had talked about each brand would have one of the top 3 titles. And of course, me being in the spot as a top champion, I got that belt, and I worked very hard for that belt, to get that belt before I became a GM. And at one point, I did make the offer to Savior Saint that if he chose my brand to come to, I would vacate that title, and I would give it over to one of the other brands. But when Savior Saint chose to go over to the Infinite brand, I was fine with that too, because that meant I got to keep my title. And I have put it up. I have told the members of my team that they are more than welcome. I did a battle royal, and I let some non-champions get in there and fight for their opportunity to get this belt. It came down to where Battle Cat and Voorhees are going against me at Money in the Bank. And I mean, let's face it, Battle Cat has been a champion before. He's had several belts in this group, but I think the one belt that he maybe hasn't had is the hardcore title. And he wants it, and he wants it bad. So I'm more than willing to give him his shot at it. Do I think I'm going to keep it? I'd like to, sure. But I can't discredit Battle Cat or Voorhees.
No question.
I'm very proud of both of them.
They are hard
very
working.
Proud of both of them, and I'm more than willing to let them.
And by the way, and thanks to them for the donation that is forthcoming for competing for the Hardcore Championship. It all goes back to the group, and just like what we're doing with the mugs, guys, you buy a mug, half the profits goes to your favorite wrestler, goes to your favorite promotion or your favorite charity. So even in the FWWC, sis, and I'm peeling back the curtain here a little bit, when that money goes back into the group, it helps grow the group. It helps people that are in need. It helps with new championships, replacement championships, and things like that. So, all character stuff aside, I want to say to you, great job on keeping the belt relevant, making it matter, and also, for carrying it with honor and respect, because that is our very first ever fully customized FWWC championship. And I know and can fully understand why you wouldn't ready to just give it away to just anybody. So kudos to you for that. Any final quick thoughts as we try to run through these last 2 callers before we jump over to Paradigm Pro?
Just want to also say, I know that usually with these belts, the champion doesn't have to pay to be in the group, but I am planning to also make that donation as well to help out the group for that match. So I will be making my donation as well. And to Battle Cat and Voorhees, best of luck, gentlemen, but I will not be laying down and just letting you walk over and take it. I will be fighting, but best of luck. And either one of you that gets it, I'll be proud of you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the general manager and current reigning FWWC Hardcore Champion, Hardcore Sis. And if I forgot to say it, I meant general manager of Inferno. All right, well, we've got 2 final callers left for the FWWC segment, but really we've eaten up way too much of Paradigm Pro's time. And I know it's not FWWC's fault. I know that our previous guest with Fred, we went a little long because he's such a blast. And we're more than happy to do that with Doug and the folks over at Paradigm Pro. Doug and Cam, they're going to be great guests, I guarantee you guys. We'll go over a little bit with them just to make sure they get their very, very much due 25 to 30 minutes here on the show tonight. So what we're going to do is this, guys. I hope you don't mind. We have General Manager Tank Westbrook of Infinite, and we have the KOB. So we're going to go to the KOB first. As soon as I introduce you guys, come on, say what you got to say. Don't wait for questions. Don't ask me if I'm having a great day, because I am. Thank the good Lord. Great day. It's been a fantastic day. Just get right into your spiel. Be passionate. Be serious about what you're saying. And make sure that you're clear so that we can understand what you're saying. First up is our current Intercontinental Champion representing the Infinite brand, the one and only King of Bleach Style, Mr. K.O.B.
The King of Bleach Style comes on tonight, and I want to say one thing. That first person who spoke, Mr. Nightmare Jones, you are an LFF. For the ones who don't know what an LFF is, that is a little fucking freak sitting there talking about that kind of stuff. Fucking weird. But
okay.
KOB has an important thing he has to get off his chest, and that is what is coming up on Wednesday, where I and the SIC, so it is the KOB and the SIC, go into a 3-way triple threat match where we take on the hefty trash bag brand boys and the funkiest sons, Saint and Funky. And I, in it, sick, are excited because we win that match. We go ahead and we go in against one team from Inferno, one team from Rise. And then if we win that match, and it's a big if, I mean, there's some good teams going into it, we will be going against Heaven's Demons, and Heaven's Demons will get hit with being bleached because of the week.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, you talk about energy and passion. And KOB, I know you're still listening, dude. I'm particularly proud of the strides that you've made. I remember when you got into the group originally, you were kind of a kid in his shell. I know that we talked and you said, hey, man, my family kind of is like really religious. They kind of look down on pro wrestling. And the fact that you're thinking about getting into the pro wrestling world, being such a young guy as you are, and that you're participating and having success in the FWWC, continuing to evolve, continuing to improve upon everything that you've learned so far, being humble, knowing when it's time to back down and knowing when it's time to stand up and fight. Very proud of you, bro. You're definitely making a name for yourself here in the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC. We have one final caller from the FWWC. Tank Westbrook, you heard what I said to KOB. Come in, deliver your message, be passionate, be firm, be confident, because you know what, man? You are the general manager of the Infinite brand, and what you say on the Infinite brand goes, brother. What are your thoughts tonight as our final caller for the FWWC segment?
You saved the best for last. Listen, Nightmare Jones, you all were talking. Yes, you all were talking about the GI Shy, the newbie. She came in. She represented the Infinite brand. And she got a victory. Congratulations, GI Shy. I want to say you have sparked something in my eye. Now, tomorrow, you're going to go and represent the Infinite brand against 2 other free agents. Let's see what those other free agents can do. Let's see if they can spark my eye. Now, Swag, you will be representing my brand. On Friday, you will be facing none other than Funky Flex. See if you can do something and bring it home. Show me if you want to be on my brand, because you know what? You got that it factor, and I am looking for that it factor to come to my brand. So just bring it, boy.
Tank Westbrook, ladies and gentlemen, clearly is proud to have G.I. Shy representing him in tomorrow night's matchup, but he knows it's a one-time deal, so he's keeping his eye out for the other free agents as well. And I don't know what it says that a brand new rookie defeated a veteran multi-time champion like Nightmare Jones, but what I'm telling you is this. Tank Westbrook's got some pretty good stuff going on, especially considering the fact that the Warriors Heart champion, who is a member of Infinite, retained the belt at Universe Mania 6 and has been on some sort of hot streak since then. And you tell him I said that, so Savior Saint knows that I got respect for the top champion. All that said, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of tonight's edition of the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter Fantasy Wrestling segment on tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk podcast. I do want to apologize for the incredible delay in getting in our final guest, Nightmare Jones. I'll tell you what. I think it's going to be a good one. So if they're willing to oblige, we'd like to go till about 9:20, 9:25 Central Time, around, an hour later Eastern Time, because, when I think about how difficult it's been for everybody during the COVID-19 pandemic, my heart particularly goes out to the promoters. Because, and we talked to a lot of talent. We had the MCW heavyweight champion a little bit earlier, and we had Fred Slow from 610 The Animal in Albuquerque. But to me personally, just especially based on my experiences, the promoters, the guys that run the shows, have got to be hurting the most, in my opinion, right now. Because it's not about your individual bookings like it is for talent. You're talking about your whole show shut down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do anything. And I'm lucky enough to work with guys like Jordan Smiley and Billy Simmons and Michael Sykes here in the area, and they're doing whatever they can to keep the content flowing for their promotions. But man, without shows, Joe, it's goddamn impossible to keep the flow of information, to keep the entertainment value high, because it's all about what happens at the shows. And when you can't have the shows, you can't really have content. It's very, very challenging. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a pleasure to welcome in for the very first time a couple of guests who have the same fire and passion for the sport that we do. Doug and Cam, these guys started, Prodigy Pro Wrestling, a little bit of a rebrand there. And now we've got Paradigm Pro Wrestling. And you guys know the word paradigm. It's been tied to the world of professional wrestling for a very, very long time. That's why I particularly love the name of the promotion, because I'm just like, man, that's futuristic, but it also kind of paying homage to the past. So without any further ado, intern Timmy, go ahead and cue up the music as we welcome into the show for the very first time the owners of Paradigm Pro Wrestling, Doug and Cam. Hit the music.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
How you doing, man? What's up, man?
We are doing absolutely amazing. So, what have you gentlemen been up to recently?
Man, just working, man. Trying to stay
Same, just working.
alive, I guess.
Damn right. Just stay insane.
I hear you there.
Well,
So-
Joe, if it's okay with you, Joe, if it's all right with you, I want to jump in real quick because,
Go ahead.
I mean, you heard what I had to say. Like this to me is kind of a personal thing. I've worked as a promoter, commentator. I've done a lot of different things, and I want to get the negative stuff out of the way first. How hard has it been for you guys to not be able to do what you do? Because Paradigm obviously is a promotion that's got some loyal supporters, and not being able to produce what you guys produce, it's like a farmer not being able to produce corn. You know what I mean? There's only so much you can do without the corn. How has this time been for you guys, and have you been focused on kind of what's going to happen afterwards, or have you let it get you down? I'm curious as to what your guys' kind of morale is right now, considering everything that's been going on.
It's been rough. I mean, right before starting the new year, our first shows out were probably the biggest 3 shows that we've ran ever. And then all of a sudden the Rona hit, and it's been demoralizing, I'm not going to lie. I mean, we've even talked about closing doors, but then we were like, nah, there's no way. And then, I mean, just like y'all said earlier, just trying to push out content, trying to stay afloat. It's been rough.
Yeah, the main thing is right now we have a tentative rescheduled date for what was our March show, and we're just hoping for the best with that. And IWTV has helped a lot too. Be sure to use promo code Paradigm for 5 days free. But
no, plug away, bro. That's what we're here for. By the way,
they've been doing it.
Don't be shy.
They've been doing a good job of making sure that things are still running at all times. They're running a tournament marathon in May. Every day there's a tournament, and they're going to do our UWFI tournament from last year. It's really just a matter of just getting out as much content as possible. And I'll feel you on it's been hard on promoters, but at the end of the day, this isn't my primary source of income. It's been hardest on the wrestlers that is their income.
Yeah, for sure.
Very true.
I'll give you that. That's been the hardest hit for sure.
is people that wrestling is their only source of income.
Yeah, that's very fair.
So I encourage everyone to if you have anything extra, please, even if you just PayPal a wrestler, like, give whatever you can, buy whatever merch you can right now, because this is a lot of our guys' livelihoods that are just taking a huge hit right now.
For sure.
No, you know what? You make a great point, and when you put it in that perspective, I can't help but agree. But at the same time, I guess my perspective was, like here in Kansas City, we had a very successful promotion that's been going for about a year and a half called Journey Pro Wrestling. It's kind of a spin-off of NWL, which was a spin-off of Metro Pro Wrestling. They lost their venue because of this. They were running at a place called Kansas Hall, and Kansas Hall went out of business for good. So that means that when they do come back, it's not just about booking a card and putting out flyers. They now have to find a whole new location, and I think the three of us who have done some promoting, you guys a lot more successfully than me, those are some of the things that the fans don't think about, because what happens when you lose your venue? Right. When the restaurants and the VFWs and these sorts of places are closing permanently because of the Rona, then what kind of position does that put you in? So I guess that was kind of my perspective, but I can't disagree with you, Doug. The guys that are making their living exclusively off of working in the ring, at least for right now, are the ones that are being hit the hardest. I can't disagree with that.
I do agree, though. Finding a venue's rough. We just went through that at the beginning of the year. Yeah, we really. So
back-to-back
that is one of the worst headaches ever. So, Pro to find something. I do like their content. I've watched several of their shows. I hope they can find somewhere to house those shows that they do put on for you guys. They're amazing.
And finding a venue for wrestling isn't as easy as you would think it is either. So many places just want nothing to do with it.
It's so true.
It's a struggle.
It's so true. And you know what? That's the now. And we can't predict for sure what's going to happen in the future. But what we can talk about is some of the success that you guys have had. And hopefully some of that stuff will carry over. So why don't you guys talk to us about Paradigm Pro, some of the transitions that the company's been through, some of the talent that you have come in through the door, and some of the guys that were on fire when everything came to a halt. Why don't you guys fill us in on all that?
Cam, you want to start with that?
I mean, you kind of went over. We started as Prodigy. Things happened. We rebranded, and we've had to move venues. We finally got things growing. We're in Sellersburg, Indiana now, which is about 15, 20 minutes north of Louisville. And realistically, like, my main focus right now is just heavy hitters. Like, I feel like we need something big when wrestling does come back. We're doing GWFI rules, Brawl for All, and hardcore matches all in the same show in a tournament.
Holy shit. Hell yeah, bro.
It's excessive,
yeah, man.
But
we need blood. The fans need blood.
So it's a 16-man tournament. All the first round matches will be all three different match stipulations, and then once you go to the semifinals, we're going to try to find some type of spin. Maybe the fans vote for it or what. But we got some heavy hitters in this heavy hitters tournament. I mean, Stephen Bonner versus Matthew Justice in a street fight, no rules. AJ Gray, our longest reigning ever.
Bro, AJ Gray is such a beast.
Champion.
I've seen him in St. Louis, by the way.
Man.
What an amazing talent you guys have.
AJ Gray, man.
He's fantastic.
I can't say enough for how he carried our title for over a year, man. Like, he took us from, like, honestly just being a promotion that existed to being something that mattered, and it had a ton to do with him.
I'll echo that as well. I mean, PPW is not PPW without guys like AJ, our current champion, Cole, Myron Reed. Like, these guys have bought in. The Rejects, John Wayne Murdoch, Reed Finley, they
Hot
bought
fire,
in,
baby.
They cared, they believed.
I had five. I'm sorry. I'm marking out over here. I'm just marking out listening to some of these names. Dude, I love Hot Fire. Bro, I saw a match. I saw a match once. You guys will love this. I saw a match once at St. Louis Anarchy, or was it Glory Pro? I think it was Glory Pro. Shout out to KLD and Dan the Dad. It was Jason Kincaid versus Hot Fire Myron Reed. Can you guys? I mean, I'm sure you can imagine it because that incredible match. Oh my gosh!
That 5 stars. Jason Cade is one of the smoothest, most technical, best wrestlers I've ever seen live in my life.
Yeah, like it.
Jason's amazing. I've worked with Jason several times at Pro Wrestling Freedom and other promotions in Tennessee. I love that guy.
Myron is so underrated, though, man. Like, it's one of those where he makes everything look so easy that it's hard to, like, you get spoiled by it, you know? Like, because we've seen Myron since he was literally, what would you say, like 3 months in-ish?
Yeah. We watched Myron when he first started. He came out of Owensboro when he first started and went to OVW. We watched some of his beginning matches, and then we watched him come up through the IW Mid-South, and then he became a staple for us since we started. He was the main event of our first ever show, and he's main evented several since, and I wish that man nothing but the best.
Man, no doubt he's going to be really, really successful. Shout out to him. I believe he was recently working, was it Impact Joe? Was it Evolve? I know he was working for somebody.
He's MLW.
MLW, there it is.
MLW.
He
was
was
the leader of Injustice.
There you go. MLW. My mistake. Well, before I throw it back over to Joe, I guess I wanted to talk about and emphasize something very, very important. So what we're trying to do, fellas, here on the Wrestle Talk podcast is to kind of take a tour around the 50 states of the United States and highlight a couple of promotions or individual talents or ring announcers, referees, whatever, from every state in the country. And we're going to keep doing that till we're done with all 50. You guys are based out of Indiana. Can you talk to us about your roots in the state of Indiana, what the fans of Indiana are like, what the culture of pro wrestling is up there? Is it on fire like it is here in the like in the central Midwest? Or is it just now getting started? Tell us a little bit about pro wrestling in the great state of Indiana.
Okay. So I'll tell you this, our fans are ruthless.
Absolutely.
Ruthless.
Love it.
They've seen everything twice.
Because they've seen so much great wrestling we call ourselves the Kentuckiana area because we're only 15 miles from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
So
lucky
a
ducks.
majority of our fans do travel. Huh?
You guys are lucky ducks, man, being that close.
A majority of our fans.
So lucky.
Yes, and a majority of our fans come from Louisville. And Louisville used to be part of the territory with USWA and all the old school guys. Like, that was part of the loop at Louisville Gardens. So, they've seen Rock come up. They've seen Stone Cold come up. They've seen Undertaker before he was the Undertaker. They've seen so much. And then Ohio Valley...
Hey, Joe, real quick.
Since 1997.
Sorry about that, Doug. I wanted to say this. So, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but did John Cosper not write a book called Bluegrass Brawlers about... Louisville pro wrestling, right? Because we had John Cosper on just a couple of weeks ago, so I'm just kind of trying to tie everything together, guys. I apologize for interrupting.
John Cosper. I love that man.
John is the man. So
you're good. John Cosper's great.
He is.
He knows so much about Louisville history, wrestling, and this area wrestling. Shout out to John Cosper, just a great dude and an amazing author. Love that guy.
No doubt. And sorry for cutting you off,
Get Madman Pondo's book. EatSleepWrestle.com.
That's right. Oh my gosh, look at us tying everything together, Joe. I love it when it all comes together, man. But Cam, go ahead, bro. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're all good. Yeah, Pondo's book's amazing.
Like, Pondo's amazing. He's one of our good friends. Which
Pondo the GOAT, man.
Pondo is the GOAT.
Friends with a hardcore legend like Madman Pondo. Like, that just blows my mind. Like, that man is a legend. Like,
not like a wrestling legend, like a life legend.
A life legend.
Everything Pondo does is legendary, and he'll act like it's not. He's so matter of fact with everything. He's the dude.
No, he is the dude.
But like I said, our fans have seen so much quality, good wrestling in our area. In many different styles. You got the Memphis style at OVW. Then you got the hardcore style at IW Mid-South, which has been a staple for 20-plus years. We won't go further on that. But, I mean, they've seen so much. So, like, unless you're, like, in there killing each other, they sit on their hands. Like, we have the best fans in the world.
Wow.
But, like, you got to earn their
tough
respect.
crowd every
Like,
time.
If you just come out of the curtain and you ain't, like, a staple to them, they gonna make you prove it, or you gonna sit with crickets.
The wildest thing ever was when Matt Justice first started coming in, and no one acknowledged Matt Justice as anything but a dude for about 3 to 4 shows. And this was during the time when he was starting to blow up everywhere. And they're just like, oh, all right, do something. And it's just like, dude, he's really out here killing it. Like, y'all need to...
But, I mean, to get Matt Justice is one of our most over guys. For him to get over, he had to do a rolling cannonball off the apron to the concrete floor and knock himself out and give himself a concussion. Once he did that, they loved it.
They were like, oh, he's
all right.
for the culture.
He concussed himself for us. We gotta love him now. That's so good.
By that same concept, Nolan Edward, a lot of people don't know who he is, but they will within the next 6 months to a year for sure. He came in, first match, he wrestled Billy Starks, and then got a decent amount of reaction because I don't know if you're familiar with Billy Starks, but she's
whoa.
She's going to be
whoa. You hold on just a second. Did you just ask us if we're familiar with Billy Starks? Oh, Jonesy, I don't want you to get upset. Joe, calm down. Oh my! Wait a minute. We have. I believe we have a drop for that.
Fucking bullshit,
dude. we had Billy on the show recently, and she is absolutely fantastic. Of course, I'm just kidding. She was a great guest, guys. We love Billy Starks here on the show. Current member of the Wrestle Talk family as well. Please continue.
Gotcha.
Came in, did that, and then got a fair amount of reaction because him and Billy had a good match. And then he wrestled John Wayne Murdoch the next month. And then from that point forward, they treat him like he's local. Like it's just one of those to where you have to know what you're dealing with. And he has been able to adapt to this area better and quicker than anyone who has come through here lately.
I agree, yeah. Anyone.
Wow.
And we're doing him and Kevin Koo at Heavy Hitters.
Yep.
And when is the tentative date?
Real good one.
When's the tentative date, fellas?
It's July 24th.
July 24th. Yep. All right. Well, Joe, I don't want to be completely selfish, dude. I apologize. You know, I'm having a lot of fun here with Doug and Cam, but why don't you jump in here, man? I know you had a couple of questions and thoughts yourself.
I do. I do. You know, as somebody that doesn't get to go to your shows, I can watch every single one of your shows on the independentwrestling.tv, which I absolutely love independentwrestling.tv. Can you tell the viewers about what it's like to be on independentwrestling.tv?
It's got to be awesome.
It's honestly changed the game. It's changed the game for us. Like, the guys at IWTV, Gerald, Dylan, they're great dudes. They work with us great. They get our shows up within like a week of us sending it to them, and it's broadened our margin of viewership so much. it's literally changed the landscape of what we as bookers try to book for, because we're not only booking for our local audience now, we also know that we have a broader perspective of audience like you guys from up north that y'all can't come to our shows every show, that we're wanting to feed everyone. We just want to give back to the wrestling community. I mean, I know a big thing for me and Cam is wrestling's like our escape from our reality. So we want to provide the best fan experience for everyone, and that's the goal. So yeah, IWTV is definitely like opened several lanes of opportunity for us.
Wow, great question, Joe.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, as I was going through some of your matches, I saw a match. It was between a guy by the name of Tank Man against Justice, who we were just talking about. And this guy, Tank Man, looks freaking huge. He's like a bodybuilder.
Calvin Tankman.
He's like huge.
Well, if your name is Tank, yeah, I just gotta say, if your name is Tank, you better be freaking massive.
Yeah, Calvin Tankman, man. He's so underrated, man. Like, Calvin Tankman, when it comes to big dudes in the Midwest, he's up there with anyone that you can name as far as a big guy.
100%. And like, I remember me and Cam actually watched Tank's like the first match in our area, and we were like, what is this guy gonna do?
Well, he came out and did a tope.
What? What?
Yes.
Yeah.
That big 400-pound monster has a tope over the top rope. And
that's
like,
crazy,
there's
son.
a clip of us. Me and Cam were just fans in the audience, and you literally see us jump off our feet.
Yeah, it was nuts.
What the fuck just happened? Like, how? How?
It was nuts. Yeah, him and Justice, like, they just beat each other to death, man. Like, that was crazy.
Like, that's another guy off our roster that, please look into him.
Please look Calvin Tankman. I wish, like, granted, it was awful that all the Mania shows didn't get to happen, but Calvin's match on For the Culture would have changed the entire trajectory of his career. I truly believe that this Mania week would have been the catalyst for him to really blow up. And he's already had a tryout with WWE. He had that a couple months ago.
Yeah, about 6 months ago he had a tryout.
But people were going to start to understand, because he's one of those dudes, when you see him, like, he does amazing stuff for us, amazing stuff for Bizarro. He's starting to be around AIW a little more. Like, he's getting around, but it would have been one of those things. And shout out to AJ Gray for making sure to highlight some of the dudes that don't get the spots necessarily on these bigger shows and try and put them in a spotlight.
He does. He does do that. And let me just say also, I've seen AJ at Proving Ground Pro in southern central / Illinois. So he does that everywhere he goes. I mean, I know we've already said a lot of nice things about him, but it's awesome.
Pro had a fire tournament.
Hell yeah, they do.
It was
Berkeley
the
Cup.
one where
Berkeley Cup, dude. So good.
Yeah, where Derek Neal won it. Derek Neal versus Airwolf was one of my favorite matches.
Oh, Derek Neal is such a beast. Somebody tagged Derek Neal. I love that guy.
Derek Neal's the man, dude.
He's another roster member of PPW.
What?
He
Joe, you
just
see
came in
this,
last
Joe?
month and beat Juicy Jimmy.
Joe, we're connecting all the dots tonight, Jonesy.
We are.
Yeah,
My
Derek Neal is just such a rare guy, man.
Oh, I love Derek. God, his
Like,
in-ring ability is nuts.
He can do everything.
He truly can. Derek Neal truly can do absolutely everything. My last question before I throw it back to Renee is, what do you hope that the fans get out of watching one of your shows? Like at the end of the night, what do you hope that the fans get out of it?
Man, when we book a show, when we run a show, when we do anything involved with wrestling, my goal is for them to go on the most exciting roller coaster escape from reality that they can. I want them to be happy. I want them to be mad. I want them to be sad. And I want them to just have pure enjoyment at the end of the day. Like, you got to book it up. You got to book it down. I just want them to be able to turn off their real life, enjoy what we're putting out, and just have a good time.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. All right, so Renee, if you have any other questions, this is your time, sir.
I do, and you know what? We're going to do something kind of unique here to close out tonight's show. But before I do that, let me send a huge congratulations to a couple of friends. Mayhem, Vinsanity, we just got word that they're going to be starting their own podcast. It's going to be called 1000% Real with Vinsanity and Mayhem. So shout out to those guys, big time supporters of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Absolutely hope that those guys have a great deal of success. Anything we can do to help you guys as fellow La Familia members, let us know. Joe and I are absolutely available to do anything you guys need to try to help in what you guys are doing. And I also wanted to say this. Guys, I know how hard it's been for you that you haven't been able to do what you love and run the shows and give the guys and girls an opportunity to do what they love to do and the fans an opportunity to watch what they love to watch. But you know what? I think it's about dang time that we start feeding into a little bit of our competitive nature. Because I know whether you're a fan or a promoter, you love competition. And that goes for both of you guys, Doug and Cam. So here's what I want to do. During tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, instead of Joe or I going against our guest, we're actually going to have you guys go against each other. And here's how it's going to work. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to provide a series of clues, okay? When I start reading through the clues, if you think you know the answer, all you have to do is simply shout it out. The first person to get the best, the first person to get best 2 out of 3 falls wins tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. I know you guys work together on a lot of stuff, but I also know that you're both very competitive. The question is, are you guys game?
I'm down. Yeah.
All right.
We compete with each other and everything all the time. So
might as well. Well, let's see who wins this round of pro wrestling trivia. Enter Timmy. You know what to do. Go ahead, hit the music. Let's cue up tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. In tonight's contest, which is a best 2 out of 3 falls, we will have Doug. Now, Doug, before I go any further, how do you pronounce your last name? I want to make sure I get it right.
It's Votaw.
Votaw. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Doug Votaw against his partner at Paradigm Pro, Cam Adams. We're going to get right into the challenge right now, gentlemen. And here's how it's going to work. I'm going to ask you guys a question. If you think you know the answer, simply shout it out. We've gone over the rules in the locker room, and now we're out here in the arena. Do both of you gentlemen understand?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Now, just so that we know the difference in your guys' voices, Cam, why don't you go ahead and say hello?
Hello.
And Doug, why don't you go ahead and say hello?
Hello.
There we go. There are the voices. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And as my backup tonight, Nightmare Jones, you'll be the one scoring the challenges. So whoever you hear first, that's the winner of that question. You got it? Nightmare Jones, please don't tell me you fell asleep.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, you got it. Okay. All right. Question number 1. This professional wrestler won the WWF Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania. After leaving his tag team partner, this late professional wrestler went on to capture the WWF Tag Team Championship with a new partner. He had 2 reigns as both the WWF Hardcore and European Champion, and won the WWF Intercontinental Championship in one of the greatest matches in WWF history in the main event of SummerSlam 1992 from Wembley Stadium in London, England. Name him. Heart Foundation, London.
William Regal.
Heart Foundation.
Bret Hart.
British Bulldog.
British Bulldog is correct.
There you go.
Jonesy, who got it first?
I was 2 then, so.
Joe?
I actually heard Doug first. So, Intern Timmy's going with Doug.
Okay, you got it.
We're big awful at this game.
Okay, no worries. Hey, you're no worse than me and Joe. Don't feel bad. We always struggle. All right, question number 2. All right, so the score is 1-0. Doug, if you get one more correct, then you're the winner of tonight's matchup. Cam, don't get sweat, bro. That's all I'm going to say, because you'll never live it down, ever. Well, at least until you come on next time. All right, question number 2. Often referred to as the tag team of the 90s in WCW, this professional wrestler went on to win the WWF/WWE Tag Team Hardcore.
Scott Steiner.
That is incorrect. WWF/WWE Tag Team Hardcore United States Intercontinental and World Heavyweight Championship. He has also been entered in... What was that?
No, go ahead.
He was also entered into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2013 as a singles competitor, and also in 2019 as a tag team alongside his brother Stevie Ray as Harlem Heat. Please name this wrestler.
Booker T.
Okay, that was... Joe, who did you hear first?
I heard, I did not hear Doug first.
So you heard Cam first?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Cam gets the point.
Oh, geez Louise, don't confuse the fans, man. What's wrong with you, Joe? All right, so obviously we're tied 1-1. The person who gets the next question correct is going to be the winner of tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Intern Timmy, I know we got some music we're going to play for the winner, so go ahead and get that ready, because here comes question number 3. Question number 3. James E. Cornette managed 3 different incarnations of the Midnight Express to tag team championships in the NWA. However, this man, known for the Alabama Jam leg drop, was the only man to win a singles championship in the NWA/WCW. He also defeated the Enforcer Art Anderson at the inaugural Super Brawl to win the NWA World Television Championship. He held the championship for 15 days before losing it to stunning Steve Austin. Please name this competitor. Former member of the Midnight Express. Known for the Alabama Jam.
Think of beautiful.
Think of beautiful, gentlemen.
Beautiful Bobby.
Bobby Eaton, now that you said the whole thing.
Okay, Joe, if you would, Joe, I'll say this. If you wouldn't have said Bobby, then we could have counted it, but that actually eliminates the question. And we are still tied at 1-1. But
that's big fair.
So if you would have if you would have said beautiful, I think that would have been okay. But you said beautiful Bobby, it's too much. So here is the alternate question. Oh my gosh, the suspense right now, man. You could cut this thing with a knife. Here we go, gentlemen. Here is the final question. And Joe, keep your trap shut. This man won his WWF contract by winning Tough Enough with his first tag team partner. That is incorrect. With his what?
Keep going. You're good.
Okay. With his first tag team partner, he won the WWF Tag Team Championships on 3 occasions. While his partner never won championship gold on a national level again, this man has gone on to win championships in promotions such as Lucha Underground, Impact Pro Wrestling, and the WWE.
John Morrison.
John Morrison is the correct answer. Joe, who answered?
That would have been Doug. So, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge is Doug Votaw.
Yeah. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there.
Now, Cam.
Congratulations, Doug. At least you didn't get swept, Cam.
Well, Cam, we're going to give Doug an opportunity to take his victory speech, but we also want to give you an opportunity to give us your final thoughts and how it feels to know that you're never, ever, ever going to live this down. Well, at least not till the next time that you guys come on the show. You got 15 seconds. Go ahead.
I'll probably be fine either way, man, to be real.
All right. Enough of that. Doug, sir, congratulations on a huge win tonight. Sir, how does it feel to know that you can give Cam crap for at least the next couple of months until you guys come back on the show?
It's always good fun and competition with Cam. We've been friends for 20 plus years, so it's always good fun. But I do want to appreciate and thank you guys for having us on.
Awesome, man. Well, that's part of the reason that you guys have been so successful, gentlemen. You obviously have a lot of love and respect for each other. And again, yeah, this was all in fun. So congratulations to Doug. Cam, you did a great job as well. And as always, we want to welcome you guys in as the newest members of the Wrestle Talk podcast family. Jonesy, any final thoughts for our two wonderful guests from Paradigm Pro Wrestling?
Oh, man. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to the show. I'm going to continue watching you all shows on independentwrestling.tv, and maybe one day in the future, I'll be able to make my way down to Indiana and watch one of you all shows in person.
Joe, we can meet halfway. Joe, let's do it. I'll drive up from Kansas City. You drive up from Martinsburg, West Virginia, and we'll just meet in Indiana. How about that?
We could do that.
Let's
we could
do it.
definitely do that.
Hey, July 24th, guys, y'all don't want to miss this tournament. If you, it's going to be an awesome tournament. If y'all really want to come up,
we do.
Come up. We'll treat you guys right, I promise.
I know you guys will. Well, before you
if
go,
you guys make that trip on July 24th, we'll treat you guys right.
Hey, dude, that would be well. Our Cauliflower Alley Club visit got canceled. Our Universe Mania 6 watch party in Kansas City got canceled. So, Joe, I think we need to find a reason to get together sometime this year. I don't see why it wouldn't be in Indiana. I'm just saying. You see, there it is, guys. Let's try to make something happen. Well, guys, last thing before you go, drop the social and tell us one more time how people can find you guys on independentwrestling.tv.
All right. www.paradigmprowrestling.com is tickets. Paradigm Pro Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram. Twitter is Paradigm Pro Res, WRES. And also, I almost forgot to plug this. If you buy $20 worth of merchandise from a wrestler and send it to either our Twitter or our Facebook, you get the archives of all our shows that are not on Independent Wrestling TV, which is the first year. Half of it is Prodigy shows, and the other half is the Turn from Paradigm. We will send you the links to those if you spend $20 and send us the screenshot. And if you spend over $100 with wrestlers, it can be any combination, then you get all of those, and you get 2 tickets to Aviators or any show of your choice. So,
wow,
that is sick, dude. That's a great deal.
That's a heck of a deal.
That's a hell of a deal. I love it. All right, gentlemen. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here on the show. Again, welcome into the fam. We'll hopefully talk to you guys and maybe even see you guys before the end of 2020. Take care of your families, man. You guys be blessed. Grace and peace to both of you guys, man.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good night.
You too, sir.
Joe?
Wow.
What a show. My
man,
gosh.
Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. What a freaking show tonight. Like, wow. What a freaking show, ladies and gentlemen.
You want me to do shout-outs,
Joe?
Joe?
Do it all over again next week.
Joe, you want me to do shout-outs?
Amazing.
Shout-outs, bro? You want me to do shout-outs?
Go ahead.
Shout-outs. Shout-outs to all the folks that checked us out tonight live on Facebook Live. Shout out to the replay listeners. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Google or Anchor or any of the multiple platforms that we're on, we love you. We thank you. Man, the callers were fantastic tonight. I mean, what do I need to say, bro? Kekoa Mana, Fred Slow, Doug Votaw. I mean, these guys are fantastic. And then we got Cam as an additional bonus on tonight's show. I think those guys really enjoyed going up against each other, man. You could feel the competitive juices flowing. There was a couple of awkward silences. That's what we like to do here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, man. We're trying to get you guys out of that boredom block that you've been in for so long to talk pro wrestling, to enjoy yourselves. And really, more than anything else, man, we love to show support for the people that love and support us. And so for that reason, we're going to once again play the Insanity song, Guts. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to our brother Marcus Mayhem on their new endeavor. We know that they're going to have a ton of success. And hopefully they know that we can always be called upon to assist in anything that they need. Also, big shout out to my wrestling godfather, Sonny Money Mayo. Shout out to Adam Frex and Talking Dynasty. One of my very favorite podcasts, especially since I'm a huge Chiefs fan, but they talk all football. So make sure you guys check them out. Sonny was actually on the podcast with Adam Frex. Also, when we come back, we're going to be doing some sort of celebration at Esports in Shawnee, Kansas. So make sure you guys love and like Esports on all social media. Thanks to my beautiful wife, to Carrie, Joe's beautiful wife, my children. I miss you guys. I'm way out of town right now doing the show. I want you to know that I love y'all. The 3 general managers, you guys work so hard. I love you. all the members of the FWWC and all the hard work that you guys put in. My partner in crime, DeJuan Mills, the originator, the creator, the head administrator, the guy that helped inspire me to do what I've done in the world of fantasy wrestling. And to my bosses, man, Mike, Billy, Jordan, thank you guys for trusting me to be the voice of your companies here in the Midwest. And you know what? To everybody else who's struggling and anybody else who's looking forward to the end of the quarantine, just know the Wrestle Talk podcast will always be here to support you. Once again, Joe, I don't even know what to say, man. It's been so humbling to have so many people show us love tonight, man. Some of the things that Fred said just blew my mind, man, how complimentary he was about what we're doing. And all I'm going to say is this, man, before we hit this song, no matter what you do at the end of the day, give praise to the big man above and make sure you keep it 1,000. Again, keeping it 1,000% real with Marcus Mayhem and Vinsanity is going to be something special. Make sure you guys show them love. Let's go ahead and hit the music as we close out episode 294 of the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee, your humble servants. We're out. Peace. Turn it up, Jonesy. Jeez Louise, Papa Cheese. It's like a marathon. We just go forever. 2 hours and a half. Turn that up, baby. Vinsanity, that's VIN5 Anity. Look it up. It's called Guts. You won't regret it. Actually, I'm going to type it out for y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, play the whole song, Joey. The whole song. Don't cut it short.
Hey, baby. Baby, I'm gonna hit a stride. Alright. Hitting numbers like some dice. I hit it like I'm at you looking high. So that pussy be on point, so I'm precise. You help me find my way up out of May. You be shining like the moon and sun rays. You make me wanna pray in church on Sunday. We count this money up and call it foreplay. We gon' take the world and make it spin. Every day we fall in love.
Give my man a follow. Do the right thing. Give my man a follow.
You got that bomb, bro, you can buy me. You drive me crazy, keep it cruising. When I hear your voice, it's like music. If I play games with you, I lose it. If I like you, that'd be stupid. Yeah. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right.
Shout out to my man Marcus Mayhem. If you need posters,
baby, I'm gonna get you right.
Album cover art,
baby, I'm gonna get you
all
right.
your graphic design needs, holler at my man Marcus
baby, I'm
Mayhem.
gonna get you right.
He's so special.
Baby,
love y'all, man. So proud of y'all.
Baby, you the type I like. Come here, let me take a bite. I got you turning overnight. Whoa. It's hard to trust because my shoulders lie. I saw the future, you was in my side. I'm a monster, girl, you brought me to life. Sugar, how'd you get so fly? All these other chicks, they give me no high. Sugar, I used to be a dog, now you got me on a chain. I would run away, but that pussy got me stained. I used to have some flaws, but now I'm off the chain. I feel like something's wrong, I can't get you up out my brain. Shawty on the wall, shawty off the tall. It's like it told me fast, you looking at her crystal ball. Baby, you can live your life. I just wanna be here somehow. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now. Baby, I'm gonna get you right. Baby, I'm gonna get you right now.